Shabbat Shalom, and our 21st fellowship together, 21 Sabbaths. Praise Yah. Pretty amazing. So, welcome everybody. Got a lot of stuff to go over today. Hopefully we have a couple guests coming on. We may have Alan Patrick coming on. I spoke on the phone with him quite a bit this morning. And, he's seen the Divide, so that's amazing. Did you have something to say? Sorry. No? Okay. Sorry. Yeah, hopefully Libby may join us again. Yeah, so hopefully they may or may not join. We'll see as it goes on. But I was going to go over the calendar here and go through a couple of the Dead Sea Scrolls, pretty much showing and defining what the tequfah is and how it's going to mark day 4 always. Because I noticed there's been a lot of confusion about that, but that's what we're going to clear up today. And we'll use the Dead Sea Scrolls to walk that through. And before we begin, I just wanted to say a quick prayer and take all things to the Father. Father, Abba Yahuwah, we come to you in prayer to thank you for this fellowship. Thank you for your Sabbath day of rest. We appreciate all the brothers and sisters here and all of their input. And we are each a piece of the puzzle that will lead to your truths. Please help to continue to guide us and help to protect us, to keep us strengthened as brothers and sisters, no matter what the differences are. And I pray for blessings for those who are struggling through trials and tribulations, no matter what it may be. We all need your help and your strength to endure to the end. And I pray to you in the name of Yahushua HaMashiach. Amen. All right, we got the shofar. Thank you, sister. So let me share the screen here, and we will walk through the calendar a bit. All right, so starting here, right in Genesis 1, verses 1 through 5. So, in the beginning, Elohim created the Shamayim and the earth. And the earth came to be formless and empty. And darkness was on the face of the deep. And the Ruach of Elohim was moving on the face of the waters. So what we're going to see here, let me scroll down just a bit. So Genesis 1 through 2 is going to be describing this chozek, or this darkness that existed, or this time before time began. So what's beginning our counting of days? It's when he says, right here, verses 3 through 5, let light come to be. And he saw the light, and the light came to be. And Elohim saw the light, that it was good. And Elohim separated the light from the darkness. And Elohim called the light day, and the darkness he called night. And there came to be evening, and there came to be morning, day 1. So what starts the counting of days is when the light comes to be, right here. As you can see by the little marker, a complete cycle of day and night biblically is going to be the light portion of the day, then we have the evening, the chozek or night, then we have the morning or the boker. this is going to consist of the complete day cycle according to scriptures. So what we see here, I'll just read it from here. So we can see on day 1, there was a formless void of darkness that existed for an unknown amount of time. And this light coming to be is what begins the counting of days, or time, like flipping a light switch. Taking this into account, there is a division of time before time that we see, or a divider that is accounted for in creation week. Since creation week is the standard to start each year, we must take this void of time into account as well. This is the divider day that separates the years. YAHUAH works in divisions. He divides the light from the dark. He divides the days. He divides the weeks and the months, and even the seasons. So why wouldn't there be a yearly divider as well? So this divider day is going to keep the calendar in sync with the heavenly markers and signs each year, without drifting behind them or ahead of them, then adding 7 days to catch back up. YAHUAH didn't give us the heavenly signs and then tell us to wait until a Wednesday, or let the signs drift forward or backwards each year to catch back up to them. So right here, Enoch 72 verses 4 through 6, this is going to be when the sun is setting in the west, coming around to rise in the east. What we're going to see here is 2 portals that it's going into. So right here, this is going to be, I think, verse 5 or 6. But so when the sun is coming through the north in order to reach the east, he's so guided that he comes to that portal and he shines in the face of heaven. So there's this portal that he's shining that's in heaven, and it's not named or numbered. It's just a portal in heaven. This is marking the divider day that we're going to see each year. And then in this way, he rises in the first month in the great portal, which is the 4th. So what it's saying is, in the same way that it's coming into this portal in heaven, it's coming into the 4th portal, which is starting our monthly count, which is just what I say right here in our article. And then we're going to see the equal day and equal night Enoch is speaking about here. Not only that, Jubilees chapter 6 verse 30 is 52 weeks of 7 days. You put 52 weeks of 7 days together, that's the 364-day count. Then we have the excess of the sun and stars, which we are still working on figuring this out 100%. So I'm not going to go into a whole lot of detail on this right now because we're still actually, figuring this out right here. Because we've seen, Enoch's been tampered with. So we will skip this part for now because we are still looking into that. But we have more than that to back up this. To back up this method, this calendar that we were showing. So Job chapter 3 verse 6. That night let darkness seize it. Let it not be included among the days of the year. Let it not come into the number of months. So Job's birthday is alluding to this divider day. Similar to how modern day, people who are born on the 29th of February, the leap year. There's not a 29th of February each year. So they're not going to technically have a birthday each year. Similar situation here. Now this isn't saying Job established the divider day. It's just showing he was most likely born on the divider day. And then we have the years of Enoch, how he walked the earth, 365 years. We can see from vernal equinox to vernal equinox, and the sun's analemma as well. We have a 365-day count, but the calendar year is 364 days, which is going to take us into, let me scroll down a bit. So Jubilees 2:9, he's going to tell us there is going to be a sign that's going to mark when our Sabbath day is. So Jubilees 2:9, Elohim appointed the sun to be a great sign on the earth for days, Sabbaths, months, festivals, years, Sabbaths of years, Jubilees, and all seasons of the year. So in that same chapter, Jubilees 2, but verse 21, so he created therein a sign in accordance with which they should guard the Sabbath with us on the seventh day, to eat, to drink, and baruch him who has created all matters. So this sign he created, we see, is going to be the sun, the sign of the sun. What sign is that? That's going to be the straight line shadow, the tequfah, that we're going to see, which is going to always mark day 4. So let me just, so here, Lamentations 2:6 is showing the Sabbath was lost. How would it be lost if there wasn't a specific sign each year to show us when Sabbath day is going to be? And there is. So this is where we're going to get into the Dead Sea Scrolls, showing us tequfah, straight line shadow, straight line sunbeam, is going to be marking day 4 always. So 4Q320, to display itself from the east and shine in the center of the sky at the base of the vault from evening to morning on the 4th day of the week, the sons of Gamul, in the first month of the year. So what is being marked at the base of the vault from evening to morning? It's going to be the sun and stars. I thought I had the explanation to this here. I think it's in the above one. So let me scroll up here to the apologies. We go to the above explanation here. I know I have it twice in here. Here it is. So many ask about the evening to morning, and how can it be the sun? Well, the international dateline is the boundary between one calendar day and the next, and it passes through the Pacific Ocean, roughly following the 180-degree line of longitude, and deviating to pass around some territories and island groups. So while the mainstream claims this is a solid line that never moves, I believe, in my own opinion, that this line would vary depending on where the vernal equinox and the sun's position, just like YAHUAH's Sabbath day. So what we're going to see is as the sun is setting in Israel, it's rising in the western USA. Here we are catching the sun lining up, whereas Enoch describes the sun setting in the west to return to the east. So that's what we just read. So over Israel's evening, which is daylight here in the U.S., it's lining up to make that straight line sunbeam as the sun is rising. That light, that is going to light up the Holy of Holies in the tabernacle and the temple, marking day 4 that morning. And there was no need for the priest to track a straight line shadow all day, as they would know that morning by this sign. Because they were priests, they would know exactly what they were looking for. There was no need for them to track a straight line shadow all day. And I believe the Qumran sundial also tracked the same event. So what we're seeing there is, let me scroll down to it here. we're seeing this. This is going to be marking day 4 always. And that equinox happens, marking day 4, shining between the two pillars, coming through the doorway, lighting up the Holy of Holies in the tabernacle and the temple. They would know the difference between any other day, because this is literally how they track their years. Any deviation they would know. So they would know exactly this by that morning on sunrise. So we're going to see all of that through all of these verses in scriptures. You know, the east side of the courtyard towards the sunrise. The east side towards the sunrise. Yahuwah spoke to Moshe, saying, on the first day of the first month, you are to raise up the dwelling, the place of the tent of meeting. How would they know that? That straight line sunbeam. All these verses here are going to show these 4 intercalated seasonal months. It's also going to show day 4 is going to mark this straight line shadow day, the head of months, always. Always. So this is an example of month 1 here on the priestly Zadok calendar, the true method. So we're going to see, just like we've read up here, I'm sorry, it's down here. So the 4th command, keep the Sabbath. 4th day of creation is when sun, moon, and stars were created. 4th gate, or in Hebrew, Gadol Dalet. 4th letter of the alphabet, the door, the passageway. 4th menorah branch, longest straight branch. 3 branches later, 7th branch, Shabbat. So that's exactly what we're seeing here, the menorah method, just like Livy was explaining as well. So we see the days before the tequfah, equinox, straight line shadow, we're going to get these curved shadows. Then it's going to hit the equinox. Then on the days after, the shadow is going to curve the other way, just like the menorah here. The menorah, 4th branch, longest straight branch, always marking day 4. 7th branch, always marking Sabbath day. So this is how we're going to see this. So now when we go to, let me share my screen on the Dead Sea Scrolls here. So here we're going to have, so I have the PDF. This is scroll 4Q324D. You can see right here at the top. The PDF is in our group. You can also find it online as well. Just look up 4Q324D. So this is column 1, starting off the year. So the beginning of the first month on weekday 4, the tequfah. On the 4th in it is the Sabbath. The 11th in it, Sabbath. 14th in it, the Pesach, which is weekday 3. On the 15th in it, Feast of Matzah, which is weekday 4. On the 18th in it, Sabbath. The 25th in it, Sabbath. The waving of the sheet is on the 26th in it, after the Sabbath. Weekday 5 in it falls the 30th day of the month. In the beginning of the 2nd month. So basically what this entire scroll is going to show us here is the first days of the month, the last days of the month, meaning day 30, the Sabbath days, 7th day Sabbath, and the festivals, exactly when they're going to fall. We also will see tequfah is marking day 4. That's not the only place we see tequfah marking day 4 here. So column 2, when it goes into the 2nd month, here we see the beginning of the 4th month is on weekday 4, tequfah, marking day 4 again. So the point here is showing this scroll is marking all the important days and festivals on the exact days that they fall of the week and the month. So here in column 5, specifically verse 10 is where vacate is going to be located, but reading from verse 9, so on the 28th in it is a Sabbath. And then on, we have vacate here, which means a lot of missing text. And after this missing text, we have weekday 2 and it falls. Now we come to the column 6, the 30th day of the month. Weekday 3 is additional. So right here, after the 28th being the Sabbath, that last Sabbath of the year, we're going to have this missing text. So let me go back to what I was sharing before. So here we're going to go, this is going to be scroll 4Q394, and that is going to be 4QMMT. It's going to be found in that section of the Dead Sea Scrolls. So this is going to be from actually Florence Garcia Martinez version, which I'm going to show you here on screen as well. So what we're seeing in 4Q394 here, so that 28th, the 12th month, is a Sabbath. After that Sabbath is added, and the year is complete in 364 days, and the remainder is blank. So what we're seeing here, this is filling in what is missing where vacate is located in 4Q324D. So when we put both of these together, let me scroll up to where I have them both put together here. So here it is. So when we combine 4Q324D, specifically where vacate is located, and we combined it with 4Q394, we're going to get on the Sabbath, or on the 28th in it is Sabbath. And I have the brackets here to show 394. After the Sabbath, a day is added, and the year is complete in 364 days. And weekday 2 in it falls the 30th day of the month. Weekday 3 is additional. So let me scroll back down to where we were so I don't lose our place. I'll just hit it right here. So, what we're seeing from the Dead Sea Scrolls themselves is there's this divider day that was added after the last Sabbath of the year. So this is going to be Florentino Garcia Martinez translation, which in my opinion is one of the better translations of the Dead Sea Scrolls. So it should be clearing up here. I don't know why it's so blurry. But this is going to be 4QMMT 394. But see here, we're going to see a Sabbath in it. After the Sabbath, and then he has the brackets from here to here, which means this is from another scroll, and he added it in here as an interpretation. But when we remove that, we see after the Sabbath is added, just like we see here. This is the original text from that scroll. So this is going to be the same thing we find in all the other ones, is because they add these brackets to put the author's interpretation on what they think should go there. But clearly, this does not go there because it's in brackets. So we remove the brackets after the Sabbath is added. Proof right there in the Dead Sea Scrolls. So how do we know tequfah is going to be marking day 4, and what is the tequfah? Because there's a lot of people that try to say the tequfahs are the 4 seasonal intercalated days. This is incorrect. The tequfahs are the day after the 4 seasonal intercalated days, just like we saw in 4Q, 3 to 4D. So, we have tequfah, equinox. The year is measured from tequfah to tequfah, or spring to spring, which they're getting Exodus 12:2, which yes, exactly. And we know it's spring to spring because you cannot have a wave sheaf offering of wheat at any other time. So, so it's a continuous cycle of the sun rising directly over the eastern horizon at the spring tequfah equinox. It proceeds north till it reaches its farthest point in the summer solstice. It travels back again where it rises again directly east on the fall tequfah. It proceeds south to its farthest point at the winter solstice, then back again, making a figure 8. So that's the sun's analemma. So here we have the Jewish Encyclopedia definition of what the 4 tequfah are. So again, this is the usurper's definition, but you know they're admitting it right here. Tequfah Nisan, the vernal equinox. And then tequfah Tammuz, the summer solstice. Tequfah Tishri, the autumn equinox. Tequfah Tebet, or the winter solstice. So they are acknowledging these are the modern day, what we call the equinoxes and solstices. They were just called tequfah. We can also see tequfah here in our, 66 book canon. So right here, Exodus 34:2, at the turn of the year. So what's it meaning? It's the circuit, the cycle, the season, the revolution. So the tequfahs are literally the equinoxes and the solstices, as we can see not only in the Dead Sea Scrolls, but here in scriptures as well. So back here in the Dead Sea Scrolls, that's exactly what we see. So let me go back to column 1. Here's some of the fragments there. So column 1, beginning of the first month, weekday 4, tequfah. So this is going to be more of 4Q MMT here as well, which, is going to confirm quite a few things that we're getting into, but this is also another calendrical scroll. This is also, it's the rest of 4Q394, but it's previous to what we have read before. So this is saying on the 16th of the second month is a Sabbath, which is going to line up exactly with all the rest of everything that's shown to us in the Dead Sea Scrolls and our calendar as well. On the 23rd, the Sabbath. The 30th of it is Sabbath. On the 7th of the third month is a Sabbath. On the 14th of it, Sabbath. On the 15th of the third month, Feast of Weeks. On the 20th of it, lost my spot, sorry. Feast of Weeks. On the 21st of it, Sabbath. On the 28th of it, the Sabbath. So the first Sabbath, so this is what, so in the Greek, when Mary's coming to the tomb, in the Greek it's saying, because we know it was the first day of the week, but in the Greek there it says on the first of the Sabbaths. So we're seeing that same language here in the Dead Sea Scrolls. So the first of the Sabbath, why? Because the Omer count weeks, they're calling Sabbath weeks, because it's that counting of the Omer. So on the first of that Omer count week, meaning they say Sunday, but we're just day one of the week, because we know Sunday is incorrect. First of the Sabbath, and then the second day, the third day. So the third day is added. And the season is complete in 91 days. And on the first of the fourth month is a Memorial Day. Just like we have written what we've seen everywhere else, all throughout scriptures. Memorial Day, first of the fourth month. Tequfah. All of these things. So let me go ahead and show you the calendar here. So just like we saw in writing there laid out, the 16th of the second month, Sabbath. 23rd of that second month, Sabbath. That 30th of that second month is the Sabbath. And then, this month one. He's kind of off screen there. So then month 3, see the 15th is the Feast of Weeks, or Shavuot. Third month. And we see that seasonal intercalated day, or the day that is added on day 3, just like all the other scrolls are saying. Month 4, head of the month. Day 4, Memorial Day, or a Sabbath day. So just like month 1, month 4 is made out the exact month 1. And of course, the textual reconstruction of 4Q324E here. And then also Jubilee 626, showing these are the memorial days of Noah right here on these 4 heads of the seasonal months. And we can also see why, there in the Greek we see it was the first of the Sabbaths, because they counted the Omer counting weeks as weeks of Sabbaths, just like the Dead Sea Scrolls did, which further confirms they were observing the Zadok priestly calendar all throughout scriptures. And we just get more and more evidence in the stars, the sun. We're still figuring out that moon, but all of this can be walked through scriptures and the Dead Sea Scrolls, and it's all lining up with the heavenly markers. It's literally getting marked each and every year. Does anybody have any questions so far? And also, all these links and the PDFs and everything, they should be in the PDF section in our second group, if anybody needs them as well. We have all the links and the PDFs I've shown here on screen in that group. And Shabbat Shalom, everybody else who has joined us, coming in a little bit late. No worries. Glad you all can make it. So, yeah, no questions so far. That means we're all learning. That's good. And yeah, I wanted to go over some of that to show, you know, tequfah is marking day 4. Tequfah is the solstices and equinoxes. Because there seems to be a lot of confusion online about that. And, the next thing I wanted to go over as well is showing how Saturday was day 1 of an 8-day week during the time of Messiah. Because I know there's a lot of confusion about that as well. Alright, so, and in case anybody was wondering, this is my article. There's also a link to this, of course, in our group, but I'll go ahead and share it right now as well. And if you're watching from YouTube, it's always going to be linked in the description there. And then, of course, the sources are always going to be cited here at the bottom of the page. So I always cite the sources. That way you can all, study it for yourselves and dig into it for yourselves. And, perhaps study something or find something even deeper. So this is going to be chapter 14. It's that last, basically, chapter in my article. Way down at the bottom. That's a lot. It's definitely worth the read for sure. But so we're going to show here that Saturday was not the 7th day in history. So during the Council of Nicaea in AD 321 to 325, an entirely new religion was fashioned and realized at the 5-year summit meeting of the notorious Council of Nicaea. In light of this premise, the Zadok calendar, which is delineated in Scripture, was entirely forsaken, and a departure from the faithful practice upheld by the sons of Zadok since the time of King David. Thus, with its unending cycle, the Roman planetary week was designed and legislated to replace the scriptural week. Here is the evidence for this. So this is going to be a quote from Robert Lee Odom, Sabbath and Sunday in Early Christianity. So in 321 AD, Constantine, Emperor of Rome, by civil enactments, made the Venerable Day of the Sun, which day was then notable for its veneration, the weekly rest day of the empire. The enforcement of the weekly observation of Sunday gave official recognition to the new week of 7 days, and resulted in the introduction of it into the official civil calendar of Rome. The Romans passed that calendar down to us, and in it we still have the ancient planetary titles of the days of the week. So 40 years later, in AD 63 to 364, under the rulership of Julian, the last Constantinian emperor, the Council of Laodicea convened. The popularized version of Canon 29 from the Council of Laodicea is central to the Sabbatarian doctrine. Unrecognized by most, this canon has been falsely translated, perpetuating Sunday's sacredness as the first day, and Saturday as the seventh day of the biblical week sequence. So this is what they claim it's going to say. So this is a quote from Council of Laodicea, which is in Canon 29. Christians shall not Judaize and be idle on, notice I have Saturday highlighted here, but shall work on that day. But the Lord's Day, Sunday, they shall especially honor, and as being Christians, shall, if possible, do no work on that day. If, however, they are found Judaizing, they shall be shut down from Christ. So, of course, this is the Catholic established doctrine, but pay attention to this word Saturday here, because this does not actually say Saturday in the original text. We're going to go over that. So two important points can be drawn from this ancient quote from the Council of Laodicea. Sunday of the new Roman solar calendar is here introduced as the quote-unquote Lord's Day. This connection is never made in Scripture or prior to AD 321 for two reasons. One, the earliest Roman cycling planetary week was 8 days in length. Two, later, when the 8-day cycling week was first modified prior to Constantine and in AD 321, the order of its days were changed. But until then, Saturday was the first day of the week, and Sunday was the second. As shown below, it was only after that date, meaning 321, Sunday became day 1 and Saturday day 7. Thank you, Sister Sumi. I appreciate it. So here, this is going to be called the Roman Parapegma calendar, or the Roman Peg calendar as well. So what we're going to see right here is the god Saturn depicted as being day 1 of this week in Roman times. So the Roman Parapegma calendar, starting from the left over here, is Saturn, Sol, which is Sol Invictus, which is what they named it after, because it signifies the sun. That's why they named the sun Sol. And the Luna for the moon, Mars, Mercury, Jupiter, and Venus. So in the upper row, you see the days of the week in a wooden peg hole to mark the current day. The days of the week are symbolized by the 7 Roman deities, after whom the planets, known at that time, invisible to the unaided eye, were named. That would be Saturn, Saturday, Moon, Moonday, Mars, Tuesday, Mercury, Wednesday, Jupiter, Thursday, Venus, Friday, and Sunday, and Sun, Sol, Sunday, their venerable day of the sun. They made it their day of the Lord, as we saw quoted above. So there is a translation error, as highlighted in yellow, Saturday, in the above quote of Council of Laodicea, Canon 29. So Saturday, remember, pointed that out. So it has been constantly ignored by translators and theologians alike for 1700 years. Whether intentional or unintentional, it has served as a convenient lie, helping cement Sunday as the first day of their continuous weekly cycle invention, and Saturday as the seventh day of that same week. Then, when the Jews, under pressure from the Romans, ultimately adopted Saturday as their seventh-day Sabbath, the deception was complete. Exactly. Because we know at the time of Messiah, they were observing a lunar Sabbath. But they also had a lunisolar weekly Sabbath. There was a whole bunch of stuff going on at the time of Messiah. But we know for sure Saturday was not day 1. Or day 7, sorry. So the deception was complete. Now all the world perceived that the Roman solar calendar, with its Saturday as the seventh day, is one and the same as the one ordained at creation and recorded in Scripture. But yet, to the discerning mind, it is all smoke and mirrors. So the following may shock many who have trusted the English translation of Canon 29. But according to Carl J. von Heffe, a Catholic bishop and scholar, in his book, The History of the Councils of the Church, from the original documents, reveals that the word Saturday, dies Saturni, which is what it would be, does not exist, either in the Greek or the Latin text. Instead, the word quote-unquote Saturday was supplied in the English translation to replace the word Sabbato, which means Sabbath. So here we have it in Latin. We see Sabbato, where Latin Saturday would be dies Saturni, as we see right here. So when the Julian calendar was being enforced upon the early believers for religious purposes, absolutely no one confused the word dies Saturni with Sabbato. Everyone then recognized these two terms as unique names for two separate days, as found on two distinctly different time measuring calendar models. This is evidence from history has been forgotten and overwritten. During the translation, with the pretext of the theory of Saturday's sacredness being changed to Sunday, that Saturday has been assumed to be the seventh-day Sabbath of Scripture. This is partially due to the fact that the planetary week was adopted AD 358 by the Yahudim, or the Jews, the usurping ones, in conformity with the demands of their Roman Constantinian captors. 100%. Why? Because we see Rome and the usurpers have been working together since the time of the Maccabees. This is admitted since before Messiah. They were working together. So, of course, they adopted their Saturn day, seventh day of the week. So coupled with this, the promotion of the entire Roman calendar model throughout the land shows why all the world has now followed the beast into a fraudulent pagan worship rhythm, wholly unaware of its origin. How crafty was this? Truly, the beast of Revelation, the Roman Empire, the papacy, who has fraudulently imposed their calendar on everybody to where everybody is now following it to this day. Even the harlot who rides the beast, the synagogue of Hasatan. So this is going to be a quote from Rest Days by Hutton Webster. Yeah, and fighting to follow it. Exactly, sister. And again, all these sources are going to be cited at the bottom of my article there. So these eventually led Jewish rabbis to call Saturn Shabbati, the star of the Sabbath. So they were calling the planet Saturn, or or the wandering star Saturn, because we know it's not a planet. They were calling it the Star of the Sabbath, which is where we get, their quote-unquote Star of David today, which we know it's not the Star of David. You see, it's derived from a pentagram, and so we've gone over all of this. So before going too far down there, I'll digress, but let me continue. So it was not until the 1st century, so this is a correction here, the 4th century correction of our era, when the planetary week had become an established institution, that the Jewish Sabbath seems always to have corresponded to Saturn's day, Saturday. And again, this is going to be Sabbath and Sunday in Early Christianity by Robert E. Odom. And of course, these writings, they're going to be from those who observe the lunar Sabbath. We know that's incorrect, but they do have some interesting information that turns out to be correct. Again, the meat, take the meat, spit out the bones. But so this is going to be a quote from Robert Lee Odom. So this planetary week is paganism's counterfeit of the true biblical week, instituted by the Creator in the beginning of Earth's history. The counterfeit week employed in ancient paganism, the venerable day of the sun, was esteemed by the heathen above the other 6 days, because it was regarded as sacred to the sun, which we have seen as pointed out prior. So the chief of the planetary deities, just as the true Sabbath is inseparably linked with the biblical week, so the false Sabbath of pagan origin needed a weekly cycle. Thus, we have found that the planetary week of paganism is Sunday's twin sister, and that the two counterfeit institutions were linked together. So that's 100%. We see the true established biblical week is not linked to any, pagan origin or planetary week cycle. So this is why Satan had to establish his own weekly cycle to get people to think Saturday is always going to be the Sabbath day. Fortunately, it is not. So Constantine applied Dies Solis, or Sunday, to the resurrection of our Messiah as his contribution to replacing the scriptural calendar of the sons of Zadok. So this is where we get our modern day, quote-unquote, Good Friday to Sunday, which happens to be today for them, actually. It's their pagan Easter day today. But this is where all of that comes from, Friday to Sunday. And Friday to Sunday is not 3 days and 3 nights. Not at all. So the monumental outcome was to the untrained eye, ignorant of history's past, that the scriptural seventh-day Sabbath must be Saturday of the Roman calendar. This was accomplished by simply ensuring that every year their quote-unquote Easter occurs on a Sunday. Again, that's today according to their pagan calendar and times. So the first day of the new Roman planetary week cycle. Yet, by extension, it caused Saturday, Dies Saturnis, of that same weekly cycle to appear to be the seventh day, which had never been so, according to Scripture. This is going to be from Elaine Vornholt and Laura Lee Vornholt in the book Calendar Fraud, Biblical Calendar Outline. Again, it's a lunar Sabbath book, but there's these bits of truth sprinkled all throughout. Hey, Shabbat Shalom, Sister Belinda. Welcome. Glad you can make it. So the long-term effect was that, quote-unquote, Easter Sunday entered or established the new Christian paradigm as, quote-unquote, the day of Christ's resurrection. So we know that's untrue because we've gone over the scriptures and proven out the death, burial, and resurrection of Messiah. It did not happen on a quote-unquote Sunday. It happened on the seventh day, Sabbath day of creation, and it fits only with the Zadok calendar. Let me continue. So the corollary to this realignment of the time calculation was that the day preceding Easter Sunday, or Saturday, became forever after the perceived true seventh-day biblical Sabbath. This is the true significance of Constantine's Sunday law, and it laid the foundation for the modern assumption that a continuous weekly cycle has always existed. So true. So those who continue to spread the propaganda that the sacredness of Saturday was changed to Sunday in light of this revelation are no longer expositors of truth, but merely guardians of the lie. Neither Dies Saturnus, Saturday, or Dies Solis, Sunday, was implemented by our Creator in the beginning. Both terms are linked by the same illegitimate planetary week, introduced by Emperor Constantine for the sole purpose of destroying all things Hebrew. So this hatred of the truth and all things in the Old Testament Torah law is fully supported by the Creed of Constantine. Neither the term Saturday or Sunday is found in Scripture. YAHUAH ordained his lights in the Shamayim, of the heavens, to be signs. So this is the Creed of Constantinople. This is, the founding creed of the quote-unquote Catholic Church. This is where all the Sunday worshiping religions of modern day have stemmed from. They're the beast who has many daughters. So So this is from the Creed of Constantinople. So this is Stefano Assamani, the name of the book, Acta Sorientum. I'm really going to mispronounce that, but we see it there on screen. So I renounce all customs, rites, legalisms, unleavened breads, sacrifices of lambs of the Hebrews, and of the other feasts of the Hebrews, sacrifices, prayers, aspirations, purifications, sanctifications, propitiations, fasts. It says new moons here, but we know new moons is not in scriptures. And Sabbaths, superstitions, hymns, and chants. Basically, he goes on and on how he rejects everything of YAHUAH, the Torah, everything it stands for, his laws, his creed, his statutes, his calendar. He rejects all of that. This was all thrown out by Constantine himself. So the Roman Constantinian Creed overtly identifies that the foundation of their new Christian religion was proactively designed to have no connection to anything taught in the Torah or the entire Old Testament scriptures, the Tanakh. This creed is evidence This creed is evidence that neither Saturday or Sunday was ever designated by Rome to accurately align with the original calendar model of the first week of creation, as presented in Scripture. Instead, with the creation of their new sacred Easter holiday, they combined it with their newly ordered Sunday, causing it to appear that Rome's continuous weekly cycle meets the scriptural standard, with Sunday as the first day and Saturday as the seventh. The Romans also used to have an 8-day week. It is interesting to note that the Romans had a 7-day week in principle, but the 8th day was considered unique. And it's really unique because they didn't count it or name it. Just like, the divider day that we're going to see at the head of each year. Wonder where they got it from. So anyways, the first 7 days were full time, while the 8th day was called the Nundinum. This day had been set aside for active trade and political activity. This was the day of all Roman trade fairs and the day of public meetings, which took place on the Nunindines. More interesting is the fact that the Romans themselves thought their week to be 9 days long, since it was numbered from Nunindine to Nunindine, from the beginning of the week. In other words, each Nundine marked the beginning of a new week and the conclusion of the previous week. In Rome, the earliest reference to a 7-day week is supposedly from the time of Augustus, which is from 27 BC to AD 14. This was eventually officially adopted by Emperor Constantine in AD 321, just like we read above. Well after Messiah's time, when he made Sunday the first day of the week, meaning Constantine. So this is going to be, an example of their Roman week and how they counted their noon days, this 8th day of their week. We can see how Saturday was day 1 of an 8-day week, and they had a divider day, so their 8th day wasn't counted. All of this, we can see it comes from the true calendar. And again, let me just scroll down here to show some of, so these are going to be all the sources cited throughout the entire article I have here. I have specific chapters and the sources that are going to be specifically found in that chapter. Let me scroll down to 14 here. So, chapter 14, as you can see what we just read, these are going to be all the links to all the sources cited. Council of Laodicea, all of these things. Where did the week get their names? Rest days, biblical calendar outline, all sources cited. I tried to be very thorough in citing sources, so no one can say, oh, you just made that up, or where did you get this, where did you get that? And this is how we're supposed to be. We're supposed to cite our sources, be able to explain it, say, hey, look, we can walk this through scriptures. We don't need a lot of, exegesis to explain anything. We can walk it all through scriptures. Does anybody have any questions so far? And Shabbat Shalom to everybody just joining. also, if anybody has anything they'd like to add, even, feel free. And if you've made any personal discoveries or found something interesting, any more confirmations, any questions, feel free. It's a group effort, everybody, for sure. Katrina, how about you? You got anything to add?
No, I'm like in and out of dozing off. Your voice is like lulling me to sleep.
Well, it's a good thing I have it.
Yep. I should be able to recite it all by heart, but
I pretty much can right now.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I wanted to add some of those things because I noticed there's a few people who have questions in the chat, and there's some, that they want to insist that Saturday is, the preserved Sabbath day of Yahuwah. And clearly we see that's not the case.
Yeah. Thank you, sister. It's definitely always good to keep going over the information because you never know what you miss. I found this out the hard way.
Yeah, and if anybody has anything to add to it or questions, please turn on your mics. Please join in. This needs to be a group discussion.
Anything to add? Just listening to the last portion. I missed most of the presentation, I'm sure.
Yeah, no worries, brother. Glad you can make it.
Glad to be here. Hope you guys are all having a blessed day.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Praise Yahuwah. So I was hoping to have Alan join, but he might not be able to, which is okay. Libby may join as well. I know she had a gathering or a fellowship today as well. So we'll see. Maybe they'll join in later. And yeah, Sumi, I was actually working on having a reading done of my entire article, just like each chapter. I might end up just reading myself, but I was gonna have like an AI read it, but apparently you have to like pay for that privilege to have an AI read it for you. Because I had a project where the whole thing was gonna be read by AI. I had the whole video done and everything, found a voice that didn't sound AI and it pronounced Yahuwah correctly, pronounced my name correctly. And it was the simplest method I could figure out without me having to go through and personally read it. But it just looks like that's what I'm gonna have to do. Is I'm just gonna have to go and personally read it, and probably put the readings there on my channel. Just kind of a chapter at a time, I guess.
There's definitely nothing wrong with your voice, Jeremy. It's great. We like hearing your voice.
Oh, thank you, sister. Same with you.
I just like to mention yesterday we had a little Aussie discussion on our Shabbat on Sunday, and it's Monday today. And we had YAHUAH, I think it's pronounced. She came in and said, Sunday's not Sabbath. And we said, well, not every year it's not. It changes. Next year it'll be Monday because of the equinox being on another day. And she fully disagreed that it can change every year. It goes against scripture, you know, the same old argument. So she said, can we all have a discussion? I'd like to show you what Yahuwah showed me yesterday or today. I don't know what day it was. I said, I think it'd probably be best to bring it to the whole group for everyone to hear what you may have to say. She was still quite insistent. And anyway, we ended up chatting instead of going on a group live of some sort. But I said, please come and bring it to the whole group tomorrow. I'm not sure when she will come. I did tell her it would start at 5 a.m. Aussie time. She's in Melbourne, so I don't know what time that would be for her. It wouldn't be far. It might only be half an hour difference to us. But anyway, so yeah, just wondering whether or not she'll bring it in. But I think she's saying where she's coming from is it's Wednesday every week. So I've seen a few people say that over the years. Wednesday every week, every year, which is the opposite of the Saturday and Sunday Sabbath. Have you ever come across that before?
Yeah, I've actually heard of that. And then there's also people I've heard of, they think it's Thursday, because that's what Yohanan would always say is like, oh, I think the Sabbath's always on a Thursday. And
Yeah, that one as well. Yeah.
yeah, it's the same principle. Like the foundation is not a man-made wheat. Our foundation is the signs in the heavens that Yahuwah has given us.
Yeah. Somehow she says she's going from that point of view as well, from the equal day, equal night. But I don't know how you can arrive on a Wednesday every year if you're going by the equal day every night. But anyway, let's see whether or not she can come in and enlighten us all. But yeah.
You want to know what I wanted to ask you, Jeremy? So Libby mentioned today about the equinox or the equilux, either one of those. And she's like, it can't happen on a flat earth. So I think she's kind of like believing in round earth. And so how can we prove the equinox and equilux does prove that we're on flat? Would you know how to do that?
I'd have to find a video, but there was someone explaining how it can actually only work on a flat topographical plane, and it doesn't actually work on a ball.
Yeah, please send
Because
me
a
that.
ball,
Send it to her.
yeah, I'll have to find that, but maybe that's something we could present our next fellowship, because I'll dig into it all week and I'll find all the videos. But yeah, see, that's the whole thing is, scriptures describes that we live on a flat, stationary plane that's covered by the firmament with the sun, moon, and stars in it. You know, the cycles of the moon themselves, actually, it does not work with a ball. Like the moon cycles itself proves we live on a flat stationary plane, because you cannot have that repeating cycle on a ball in space with the sun causing its shadow from like 900 gazillion miles away. It just does not work. Also, the light source we see from the sun, if you triangulate its position and you literally look at its rays, you can see it's in close proximity, where as if it was 900 whatever gazillion miles away, all the light would be just coming straight. Like we wouldn't have rays triangulating to the sun like a local light position. It's just everything they present is, you know, scientifically impossible to put it in their terms. Like it goes against their own science, what we see and what we experience. And you know, even that joke of a show with, you know, Katy Perry going to space and everything, just a joke. 100% a joke. But the interesting thing why I brought that up is because there was a video done showing, because they're like, oh, look, we could see the moon from here. Well, that proves 100% we live on a flat plane, because the moon at that time was on the opposite side of their ball. So how could they have seen it? It would have been impossible. You know, just like we cannot have a pressurized atmosphere existing next to a vacuum without some kind of physical barrier. You have to have a physical barrier there. You can't just go from pressure to vacuum with nothing there. It doesn't work. No, gases do not provide a barrier. Quote unquote, gravity does not provide a barrier. None of these provide barriers. A barrier is something physical, like the firmament, the rakia. That's what we see it called in scriptures. And you know, Butch and Aaron, they like to go around talking about how, oh, scriptures doesn't describe a flat earth. Yeah, it absolutely does. We shared
Not
over
just
200.
not just that. A random thing that I've heard. You talked about the vacuum.
Yeah,
Sound is also not supposed to travel in space, from what I understand. So astronauts cannot be speaking to each other in space, if that theory is correct.
yeah, actually, that's a good point. Because, yeah, travel doesn't, you know, sound does not travel in a vacuum. Correct. Same thing, you know, with their sources of light. You know, if you shine a light, it's not going, like, from my house, if I shine a light on this mountain that's like in front of me, it's not going to be a pinpoint dot of light. That light's going to scatter. So how can we be getting light sources from like trillions of light years away without it all scattering to oblivion? Like we wouldn't be able to see it. Like there's so many things that just don't add up to their spinning ball in a vacuum. And like if we live in an ever expanding universe, does it stop expanding on the Sabbath day? Does it stop expanding on the Moedim? Because those are rest days. And you know, not only that, it says Yahuwah completed all his work on the sixth day. How can it still be expanding? That's work being done. Like he said he finished all that work. So it's just a bunch of, you know, gatekeeping nonsense that they like to push. And, you know, they have to promote that spinning ball, you know, for some reason or another. I don't know why, but, you know, they're pretty adamant about not believing in biblical cosmology. Is that one of those Flat Earth Day videos there you shared, sister?
Yes, he tackles a lot of the arguments for a globe Earth, And the guy who's interviewing him believes in a globe Earth. And so it was really tackling some of those questions. And I thought it was well done enough to send to my parents. So hoping they could see the truth.
Yeah, awesome. Praise God. Yeah, I've shared with a few people, and some that have even laughed at me and say, "What, you think the Earth's flat?" And I'm like, "Well, think about this." And you bring up all these points, and they're like, I didn't think about that." It's like, yeah, who's laughing now, huh? But yeah, you know, it, I don't get it how some people cannot see, biblical cosmology, but I get it. I understand. But it's not something that we can say, oh, the straight line shadow can only happen on a ball. Well, no, that's incorrect. It's been proven it can work on a flat topographical plane. You can prove it on your ground or on a table with a flashlight. It can all be proven out. So what they claim can only be done on a ball is usually opposite. Like it cannot be happening on a ball. It can only be done on a flat stationary plane. Yeah, just like the light bending like that. Like if we lived on a curved surface, the light wouldn't have that full length like that. Like you shared there, brother. Or brother, is that brother? Sorry, I can't see the name. Yes, yes. For some reason, it's not showing your name when you shared it. But yeah, exactly like that. No one wants to talk about that who believes in a ball. You bring up all these questions to them and they just blow it off. Like, well, I'm not going to look at your meme. It's like, well, why? Because it has truth in it. So you're not going to acknowledge it because it's a quote unquote meme. It's a visualization of what we're speaking of. And yeah, all those people who went and did their final experiment nonsense in Antarctica, it's a bunch of malarkey, made up nonsense. They're even making a documentary about the whole thing, and it's just going to bash on everybody who believes in biblical cosmology. And they did that to keep that mainstream narrative pushed that we live on a ball because they want to implement their whole alien invasion scenario. So they can't have people knowing that, hey, we're not on a ball in space, so aliens can't be possible. No, they want people to believe in all that. So they can launch their Project Bluebeam stuff, have people thinking, aliens are here. And then, they unleash their Nephilims. Say, oh, look, these guys are aliens. They're here to help us. That's just really part of their plan. And the people who don't understand biblical cosmology, they're going to be in for a real shock when all of that comes, unfortunately. Yeah, that's why Carlos left. That was the things too, he was trying to push the ball earth. And I was like, well, I asked him questions. Hey, what about this, that, and that? He did not address any of the questions. He just, mocked, scoffed, called names, said it's a doctrine of demons. Well, technically, what is the doctrine of demons? Because heliocentrism means Helios is at the center of your system. Helios is a lowercase god or a demon. So what's really the doctrine of demons? It's not biblical cosmology, because Yahuwah is the center of our system. It's not Helios. If they want Helios at the center of their system, go right ahead. That's not going to be the truth, though. But yeah, they can mock and scoff all they like. So that's how you know you're getting to the truth. is when it gets hit hard. You got to go through that persecution because everybody's going to be nuh-uh, nuh-uh, nuh-uh. And that's really mostly the answers we get from a lot of questions we ask. It's like, hey, we see this, we see that, check this out. And they're just like, nuh-uh, nuh-uh, nuh-uh. It's like, well, can you explain why you're saying nuh-uh? And usually they can't. They don't have a good explanation. And it resorts to, personal attacks and so forth. Yeah, we pray they will see the light one day, 100%. The root words in Hebrew of how or why it's unclean. Yeah. Didn't you share something about that, Katrina? About the clean and unclean? I think it was you that shared it. Oh, Sumi. It was Sumi. Is that their Easter ham? Yeah, that's the problem with churchianity as well. Quote unquote, all food's been made clean or all animals have been made clean. No, they haven't.
I'm just wondering if I can ask Lee Hayes, if he's listening, if he might be able to explain what he had to say quite a few weeks ago regarding first fruits and not having bread. I don't know if you're listening, Lee, or if someone can bring it up later on when we know he's talking, if he could tell us what he was talking about, the priesthood. Yeah, does everyone know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, my brother James here that is fellowshipping with me this Shabbat. He's actually doing the no grain right now.
Okay.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I'm right. I'm finished.
What we were kind of noticing is, we can eat of the old grains, but not of the new grains until after the wave sheaf. Because I think it's in Exodus when it talks about, take of the old grain of the land and make your unleavened bread and things like that. So I think if it's the old stuff, it should be fine. But it's something definitely looking into more for sure.
Yeah, I just remember Lee was talking something about the priesthood, and there was a time. I mean, this could be exactly what he was talking about. I can't remember, and I wouldn't know where to find that conversation. I'm just wondering if he is chiming in, if he can explain. But yeah, sorry,
See?
sorry for any confusion.
Nah. Are you there, Brother Lee?
Leviticus 23:14.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Can you please tell us what you said that time? I don't know whether you remember, but can you do your explanation? I actually have to just turn off and put you guys on my Bluetooth speaker because I'm going up to milk the goats. So
Yeah,
I won't be able
after
to talk. But yeah, just keep going without me.
unleavened bread, it says not to eat any grain until the offering. So it's exactly 5 days that you're waiting with no bread. And then after you give the first fruits of the wave of the harvest and wave it before him, then you get to eat.
Okay, so you're saying
Which
no bread. And some
the
people are
20,
saying, oh, don't have any of the new grain, but you can have some of the old grain. What's your thoughts on that?
it says no bread, no grain. It says no bread. So after unleavened bread, you're not to eat any bread. That's what I do anyway. Not to eat any bread until the 20 after you do the wave offering on the 26th.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Do you think there
Yep.
might be somewhere else in Scripture that might just express that in other words because of events that have happened? Do you know if there's anything else that might give other clues?
There's some things in Joshua, but they ate of the old grain and out of Canaan. There's some things in there that might tie in with it, but Leviticus is pretty clear. That's how I do it. I wait till the 26th after unleavened bread. We eat unleavened bread, really 8 days with Passover, but 7 with unleavened bread, and then wait 5 days, and then eat it on the 26th. You can eat bread. That's how I do it. If anybody else has got any information to correct what I do, then that's fine with me.
Okay.
But that's how I see it at this point.
I
Okay.
agree with you, brother.
Yeah.
I agree with you. I go. I'm doing that also.
Good.
I'm doing 7 Shabbats with no grain at all, and then the next day, kind of like commemorating jubilees and days, and then I eat bread. And for me, I can't really say if I'm right or wrong, but I'm going to do the worst case scenario. So I might be dumb, but at least I'm blameless.
There you go. Better safe than sorry, huh?
Yep, exactly.
When I read that verse on the day before first fruits, I only just read that just on the day before first fruits. So we had been eating unleavened bread. And then when I read it, I've gone, oops, I'm not going to have my unleavened bread for my evening portion. I'll just skip it, just on the safe side, But anyway, yeah, we'll find out. I'll think I will do the no bread at all fast next year. I think there's nothing wrong with doing that. But anyway, that's where I may go, unless there's new enlightenment before then.
Jermaine,
Sure. We do the best we can, don't we?
Yeah. Yes.
Jermaine, I shared a link. Ambassador of YAHUAH just found that out about not eating unleavened bread, and he just read it, and it just came to him, and he shared
Yeah.
it last week. I shared that. But you shared how to make leavened bread, and how many days does it take for
Yes.
the bread to become leavened?
Yes. I did hear the video as well, and in our time zones, he would have found it pretty much the same time as me, and also Libby as well. So yeah, and then I did. I think it was Jeremy and Katrina said that he was going to be doing a live regarding it, or he was on there. So anyway, I did listen to the recording back on YouTube. So the leaven does take approximately 5 days to be ready to make a new loaf of sourdough. So obviously people can't have any leavened bread naturally if they're keeping the commandments correctly. They wouldn't have anything to make it with.
Yeah, interesting. And I think that's a question others have asked as well. Because I think there was a sister who asked on the YouTube channel that very same question. So yeah, I think you may be right. So it's definitely something willing to study out more for sure.
And Lee, it's great to see you back. It makes my heart glad that you've come back to the group.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't even know that I had pushed something, and it took me I got busy for a couple of weeks, but didn't even know when I tried to get back in. I realized, my gosh, where'd it go?
Yeah, we were wondering. But yeah, no, glad you're back.
No,
Glad you made
no,
it.
no, not. Yeah, yeah. Thank you.
That goat smoke. That goat smoke's actually really good for you.
Excuse me.
Oh, Sister Jermaine, she shared goat's milk in the chat, or a picture of a
Oh
goat in the
yeah,
back.
I've got a
Uh,
lady next door to me out here by the mountains. Well, she's a little ways down, but she raises goats, and her goat milk's pretty good. She goes through a little process where it's not so bitter, but other than that, yeah, it's real good for you.
oh, she's going to milk the goat.
I'll tell you what, to listen to them things scream and cry, boy, it's pretty scary. Where the goats are just whining.
Yeah,
It's
for
an
sure.
eerie
They
feeling.
have some, yeah, I heard their screams can be pretty crazy.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
depending on what type of goat it is as well.
Uh-huh. That I'm not sure. I'm not too familiar with goats. I kind of hang around the sheep.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, for sure. So, Marissa, shalom. Glad you can make it. I was going to ask if you wanted to talk about some findings today or not right now. It's up to you. Not right now. No worries. Storm is brewing. We'll be keeping you in prayer, sister.
Well, a lot of people quiet today. I'm seeing. I guess, man, we need to bind that spirit of Ishtar today.
Yeah, yeah. That's what we were just talking about too. You know, today's their Ishtar day.
That's right.
And
Yeah,
Miranda isn't here either. She's usually one of our top contributors as well. Sister Jennifer, so you got some company right now?
I do. My brother James. Miranda was over here earlier, but she got together with other family members for a little bit today. Not for Easter or anything, but they just got together. Huh? Yeah, today's Easter. Yeah. She said she was going to try to occasionally get on the call, but with her being so preoccupied, she might not be able to today.
Yeah, no worries.
Yeah, but no, we were able to Shabbat this morning together. We had like a little brunch and discussing again about the creation week. And my brother James was mentioned. I mean, he agrees with how we see it on the calendar, but the equinox, what he was pointing out about the equinox, it's actually a man-made line something about it, and I looked it up, and yeah, it's a man-made line, and there's no way that we can see a man-made line. But Jeremy, if you could kind of explain, because I'm still not that well versed in explaining how you guys explain it, but can you kind of just go over a little bit about um the difference and the two markers being the equal lux and the equinox, because even with the equal lux is the equal day and night, but then he was, well, go ahead.
Yeah. What I was wondering, brother. And now, oh, and by the way, Shabbat Shalom. What I was wondering is, I know a lot of people they calculate their sundials the same way as they'll set their sundial to a equator line, or this imaginary line that's out there somewhere. That I've heard some people say, well, it's the equal between the North and South Pole, but the Earth's immeasurable according to Scripture. So I don't know where they get this line from. But what this is me, and I may be 180 degrees off. So I'll just only give you kind of what I see is, the equilux, or the equal day night day, happened to land on the 16th, but I saw it, and that's on Sunday. And so if you go according to creation, when he divided the equal, the day and night, the darkness he called night, and the light he called day. And so he divided it by 2. So you'd have an equal day, equal night. And my belief is that's the first day of creation. And so 6 days after that, Shabbat. And it happened to land this year on the 16th, which is a Gregorian Sunday. So that's why I still look at Saturday, Gregorian Saturday. But, and then some set their sundials to a equator line, or this imaginary line, I believe, and they even give you coordinates for it. But you can change your sundial as long as you keep the upper part of it pointed to the North Star, or, to Polaris, that you can actually change your angle a little bit and get your equal line on the equilux day. And, it's just a matter of where you set your sundial at, and it's your setting. But that's why I don't personally go by an equator line that they give us. I think that's Hasatan's equator. I think that Yah gives us his equator with the equal day night. That's his creator, and we can see it in his creation. But I've asked a lot of people, just tell them, I'll buy the plane ticket. Just tell me where I can fly, where I can look at this equator line, and I haven't got an answer yet. So that's kind of why I think that this equator line that they're using on even on a flat Earth, or even on a globe, that it's an imaginary line. And so I guess I sort of look at. I'm sorry, brother, I didn't get that.
Oh, we agree. Yeah. So what we're supposed to line up is with the stars. So we line up to Polaris, and that's going to be our north.
Exactly.
So we don't go by the equator or any of that. So we're just going off when it's due east. But what we do see is on the straight line shadow day, which is the equinox, it's not quite equal day and equal night. That's actually going to happen. It happens on March 16th, actually, like you were saying, the equal day and equal night. And in Israel specifically, because that will vary depending on your location. But what that's going to do, it's going to mark the divider day that we see each year. But really the important thing is getting the equinox, because you can see that on the same day no matter where you are. It's always going to mark that straight line shadow, which is going to mark day 4 of the week. Same as week of creation.
Yeah, I can see what you're saying, and I guess, well, I don't know. I guess you can, if you want to set your sundial to the month day, you can. I guess I just look at if you set your sundial to the equilux, what they call equilux, or I say equal day night day, and you can still keep the top part of your sundial pointed at Polaris, It's just a matter of changing the tilt a bit to where you get the equal day night equals a straight line. That because every equator equates. So if you equate the equal day night with the equate with the straight line, you can just by tilting a little bit, but keep it pointed at north. You get the beginning of the creation day, and that should keep your Shabbat, and it should never change because I mean that came first is the Shabbat. It never changes, and
It
so
never does.
if
It never does
you have,
change.
I'm sorry.
It's actually it never does change. It's the Gregorian week that's changing.
Correct.
Um,
Correct. I completely agree with you. And I found that people have to change their Shabbat. Well, or then to me your calendar's off. But I guess I just found the day night equal day night was on the 16th, which happens to be the Gregorian Sunday, and that's why I'm still on Saturday. But I'm not counting anything out. I'm just, that's just where I'm at right now. But I'm going to take it one day at a time and see how it works out. I'm going to see how everything plays out, I guess. But praise God.
So we have our equal day and equal night March 16th as well. But many of us in our own group, and even Sister Erin and Brother Alan, who've been doing it for decades, they track the straight line shadow on March 20th. And that's why having it level is important as well.
Mm-hmm. Totally.
Sister Maria here, she just shared her pictures in the chat, but she got the straight line shadow without having to even fix towards the North Star or anything. It will happen to just mark out on that day a straight line, even if you use just a stick and rocks. It's really fascinating how Yahuwah gives us the signs in the heavens.
Oh, he even had
and just more and more, we see, the markers and the stars that we're getting, and the signs with the moon, and even, if we go back in history, on April 3rd in 33 AD, there was an earthquake and a blood moon eclipse. That was the same day Messiah died, which April 3rd happens to be the 15th day of the first month, or the first day of unleavened bread, which is the exact time that we have determined of his death, burial, and resurrection. Like it all lines up, and there's a lot of just confirmations, and I understand shifting from that Saturday Sabbath can be tough at first. And that's kind of what we were talking about earlier. Is like,
oh no, I've shifted before.
Okay.
Because I used to follow the equator line, and so I've shifted my Shabbat before. I'm just going by what I saw as far as myself on the equal day night, and I confirmed it also. The Farmer's Almanac can even give you that exact day, and actually the times were 7/17, 7/17, and it was on March 16th. So that happened to be land on, like I said, the Gregorian Sunday. So 6 days after that would be Shabbat. That's why I haven't changed. But I'm always open, to listen to what anyone says like that. Like I said, I could be totally off. It's the same. I was the same way with doing the seven Shabbats with no grain. I could be totally off, but like I said, I'll do the worst case scenario and be foolish, but at least I'll be blameless.
Yeah. Better to be safe than sorry.
Yeah, exactly. But that's what I found is it happened to land on the Gregorian Sunday, and that's why, as right now, I'm on Saturday, but that may change, and I'm good with it because I just count 1 and 7, no matter what dates are on a Gregorian. But as of right now, it hasn't changed yet. So, and the date is irrelevant. It's the day I'm concerned with, not the date. So, praise you.
Yeah. And if you're interested, we have all of our recordings on YouTube there on my channel. If if you're interested, Jennifer could probably share it with you there.
Yeah.
Sure.
And we walk through a lot of this. I mean, literally at the beginning, usually the first hour, hour and a half is all about the calendar of each discussion because they're like 4 hours long.
Yeah.
But
Absolutely. No, I'm good with that. I enjoy listening. You know, if I can learn anything, you know, my ears are open. For me, I just like to do worst case scenario just to be safe. You know,
Right.
that's all.
yeah, yeah.
That's where I'm at.
And
But
Sister Sumi, I think. Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
oh no.
I was just gonna reply about her. I think that's like a naval navigation tracking thing.
She want to share something.
It's like it looks like a naval compass there, but it does look like it goes off the stars. I don't know if that's going to track the straight line shadow for you. I think that's just to get your bearings if you're out at sea. And the yearly count in scriptures, yeah, we're going to see there, right there, Enoch, the 364 days, also Jubilees, specifically chapter 6, verse 30, talks about the 354 day, 364 day count, bringing in the entire year. I know the Qumran sundial is a pretty cool one. Marissa has one. I was going to get one. There's all kinds of different methods that you're able to do that with. I think Lee shared one of his methods. Yeah, he did right here. Can't think of the name of that right now, but yeah, that does it as well. Yeah, there's all kinds of different sundials you can get to track and measure these things. So, and like the brother there was saying, it can vary also depending not only on your location, but if your sundial is straight and level, or if it's tilted or off in any way, you can get different readings. So I personally think it's very important to line it up with the stars themselves. Like if you're getting one of those that's directional based, I would line it up with Polaris. And then there was another video where a brother was talking about it too. You get Polaris and you get the Eastern Star and the Western Star. I forget which ones he said they were. But those are going to mark your east and west positions as well. And that's going to be your most accurate versus, these magnetic or electronic compasses or imaginary lines that they call, the equator, things like that. Yeah, watching the stars. I actually have a telescope as well. Unfortunately, here in Phoenix, there's so much light pollution, you can't even see the stars at night. Very few of them. So I have a telescope. It's not any like big professional one, but it's a decent one, but it's really hard to use here in the city. Yeah, those armillaries. Yeah, that's what Lee uses there too, armillary. That's also what Aaron Ryan uses, armillary. Yeah, so there's several different ways to track that straight line shadow. And just like we showed before, walking through the Dead Sea Scrolls, we see that tequfah or equinox, as it's called now, is going to mark day 4 always. And then when we go from vernal equinox to vernal equinox, it's always a 364 65-day count. Same with the sun's analemma. And that's where we get, yeah, Job's birthday, things like that. We get right there Genesis 1, verse 1 through 2, that void of darkness or that void of time, before the counting of days began. And then, all the HaHodesh that, they like to replace with new moon. It actually means new month or head of months. And all throughout scriptures, we see these 4 seasonal heads of the months are referred to as Sabbath days and, days of importance. And it's because they're the 4 ordained festivals by Noah right there in chapter 6. So yeah. Marissa just pointed out, so Jubilees, chapter 1, starting in actually it is verse 28. So talking about the angel of the presence. So it says, and the angel of the presence who went before the camp of Israel took the tables of the divisions of the years. And then going down a bit more, it says, until the sanctuary of Yah shall be made in Jerusalem on Mount Zion, and all the luminaries be renewed for healing and for peace and for blessings for all the elect of Israel. So what it's saying here is, the luminaries are going to keep track of our time always. Like they're literally always going to do that. And then they're even going to be renewed as described here in Jubilees for, healing and peace and blessing. Thanks for pointing that out, sister. I'd completely forgotten about that. And then Enoch 72:32 is speaking about the equal day, equal night, that equal lux that we're going to get, which is what the brother was tracking. And it was found on March 16th, the Gregorian, that equal day and equal night. But the straight line shadow is not going to be quite equal day and equal night. It's going to be very, very close. But just like as we see in Enoch, it's going to have the slightly different portions of time throughout the day. And also we're seeing, some things in Enoch may not quite be accurate and it's been tampered with. So that's kind of why I explained when I was going over that, that area in my article is still subject to change because we're trying to figure that part out right now. But we're getting closer just because a lot of questions have been asked about a couple verses here and there in Enoch. But like our last discussion, we went over some of the fragments that prove, Enoch has been tampered with, and we found the missing parts of chapter 82, although it's very fragmented. But we can see it continues into like fall and winter seasons there in Enoch 82, which I think it would describe exactly what we're speaking about here to, understand the complete cycle of the year. And I think they have it all hidden, so we cannot figure it out. But the thing is we're coming together and we are figuring it out, which is really amazing. No. So he's saying that day is going to bring in the 364-day count. So it's signaling the end of the 364-day count. Not saying it is the 364th day, but it's going to bring it in. So that just like in the Dead Sea Scrolls, we see that 28th day of the 12th month, the 7th day of the week, the last Sabbath of the year, is going to be day 364. Then we're going to get that divider day. We can call it day 0, but it's going to divide the year, the yearly, weekly cycle. So we get that divider day. It's going to reset that creation week, just like we're going to see right there in Genesis, that void of time that occurred on day 1 before the starting of counting of days. So that's what this divider day is going to make up for, that excess of the sun and stars. It's making up for this void of time in creation week that we see at the head of each year. And so then the day after that would be day 1, week of creation, then day 2, then day 3, and day 4 would be marked by the tequfah, or the equinox, or straight line shadow. And then you count from 3 from there, and that's where we're at day 7, week of creation, which is always going to be Sabbath, which is the sign in Jubilees, verse 21, the sign that he's given us to see the Sabbath. So I shared that earlier. So it's going to be in 4Q324D in column 5, verses 9 and 10, and then column 6, verse 1 as well. It's good to just finish that up. But then in 4Q394, which they also call MMP, we're going to see after that last Sabbath, a day is added. And the year is complete in the 364 days. Yeah, that's yeah, there you go, Sumi. Thanks for sharing those. Yeah, so I'm sorry, Polaris is going to be pointing directly north, just like that. True north. Yeah, Jacob. He's in this group, I believe. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's in this group. Yeah, it makes the truly, that's why we started coming together and seeing all this, because it makes the most sense. And, talking with Alan Patrick earlier this morning for like an hour, he wasn't seeing the divider day, but now he sees it. And he was saying the same thing. It makes the most sense out of everything, because we don't see where there's 7 days added to the year. We don't see where there's a 13th month added in the year. Like, we don't see any days that are being added to the 364 days. The only way that is possible without drifting backwards each season is to have that divider day, to keep that equinox or tequfah marking day 4 always. But continually into the future, the tequfah will always mark day 4, creation week. People, some who say, oh, it doesn't matter that it floats back each year into the different seasons. Well, actually it does. Because how are you to have a first fruits of the wheat if you're observing it in winter or fall? It just does not work. You can't You cannot have your first fruits on the appointed times they're supposed to be on if your calendar's drifting back. It just does not work. Yeah, exactly. We lean on the word and they lean on the world. And that's the unfortunate thing. If we start leaning on the world, we're going to be fooled by them, which, all of us have been fooled by them. And, they hide all this truth right in plain sight. They hide it in their calendar. They hide it in their, pagan festival days, things like that. They do specific events on, days we found that line up with important days on the true calendar. They're doing these crazy events on these special days on purpose. Rico. Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing is like, there's too many people out there that are adding, their own twist on things. Like if scripture doesn't describe it, they're going to go make up a story about it and say, well, this has got to be what happens because, this is the only thing that makes sense. Well, no, that's not how scriptures works, and that's where crazy doctrine comes from. So if it's not in scriptures, we cannot say that that's exactly what's going on. And there's a lot of people who will do things like that, like the Covenant Calendar Club. They're gaining popularity for some reason. A lot of negative popularity because of their way they present things and, just their attitude about everything. But, they want to stick to this 360-day only calendar thing that they're doing. And they're trying to pull things out of the book of Joshua that simply aren't there. They're saying, well, this day is a Monday and that day is a Tuesday and this day is a Wednesday, right? It says so right here in Joshua. When you go there in Joshua, it's not even given dates or days of the week. And it's like, well, where are you getting this from? It's like, oh, well, you need a special understanding and knowledge of scriptures to understand. And it's like, okay, no. Now you're going off on the deep end over there, claiming you have this special knowledge no one else can ever attempt to achieve. And now you're adding things to the scripture, claiming you're doing it on this authority of this knowledge that you've been given. No, that's not how it works. That's called, adding opinions to scriptures. It's not going to work. And that's just an example I was given because there's so many that are going around doing that. And it's like, well, right here, it's saying this, and that. And then you go to that verse in that scripture and it's not saying any of that. It's just something they've added to what they think it should be saying. But that's not what it's actually saying. So scripture should be our foundation and we should be able to walk it through line upon line. Like say, hey, look, this is where this says this in scriptures. This is where that says that in scriptures. There's no, well, I guess, this and that and another thing happened, so that's possible. It's really what our foundation is, Is it scriptures or is it going to be men's hearts or men's stories? Yeah, be a Berean, 100%. And yeah, and that's why I always say, follow no man. Don't even follow me. Just test everything to his word. And that's how you get to the truth. You won't get to the truth by following, Parable of the Vineyard, Adam Fink. He's not going to lead you to truth. You won't get there by following Dr. P. He's not going to lead you to truth. They're actually going to sway you from the truth. These are these gatekeepers in our community. Yep. Follow the pillar of fire. 100%. And yeah, sometimes it takes a bit longer for people to understand things, but it's all about being willing to come together and reason together through the scriptures. Like, we're all not going to agree on absolute everything. It's just a fact. Not there's not a set of people that are going to agree about absolutely everything. It's not going to happen. But that's why we all need each other. We all have a important piece of the puzzle to contribute. And just being willing to come together and reason through scriptures is what it's about. Yeah, they can be stepping stools, just like you said there. Adam and Dr. P were a stepping stool for me. But I have to be thankful, but continue to test everything. And that's what it is. Adam helped me to see, more Torah, what's going on there. But then that's when the red flags started coming up, and you start asking them questions. And when you start bringing things to him that don't agree with his theology, then he starts getting upset and angry. And but yeah, I mean, it's not, how do I word this? Like, we can all be used for Yahuwah's purpose, and even these wolves are. Like, they can be a stepping stone for many people coming to the truth. Yes, absolutely. But don't get stuck on like, oh, they're so perfect, and he's my teacher, he's my teacher. Well, call no man teacher. Just always test everything to its word. And like, there is going to be truth in everything that we see. Just take that meat and toss out the bones. And that's what it really is. Yeah, I think we've all have followed, parable of the vineyard at one point in time. And clearly things are revealed and truth is always shed to the light. So we see his ministry has been yeah. We're not gonna go into that, but yeah. You should be very careful of Adam Fink and his ministry. Yeah. He threw out Jubilees and went back to the moon. And I also made a video debunking his Jubilees, because he made a video, quote unquote, debunking the Book of Jubilees. So I go through it and I debunk his debunking and prove how he's incorrect. He even goes as far as cropping out definitions and inserting new ones that will better fit his theology, just to try and prove a point. So he's willing to go that far to hide truth, cropping out definitions. Yeah, praying for him for sure. Yeah. And that's something I called out, that there was others debunking his debunk video as well, but they didn't call that out. I caught it because I was looking at the definition and I was like, hey, wait, I don't see any of that in here. So where is he getting this? And I carefully looked and looked and looked. And that's when I seen that he cropped out the definitions and inserted his own. I even shared a little video I took of it, I think a week or two ago. Yeah, it can be a scary situation, sister, for sure. Yeah, that's what I think it's Paul who says it, test every spirit, because Satan himself, he comes as an angel of light. So he's going to pretend like he's that Ruach or whatever, and he's going to misguide you. That's why, Yahuwah doesn't mind us testing these spirits. Like, we're supposed to test them. And if they match and fit what his word is saying, then they're good. If they don't, then they're bad. Yeah, all praise to the Most High. For sure, soon. We're so close to the truth. It just takes coming together, Yeah, yeah. Parable of the vineyard. Yeah, debunking Adam's Jubilees debunked. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, if you're willing to go and crop definitions out and just blatantly lie and act like you don't know what grafted into Israel means, like clear he was just misrepresenting the Book of Jubilees all over. And people try to parrot his stuff. Say, "Oh, look, the Book of Jubilees is bunk." And since they're parroting the same stuff he did, I already have all the responses. I'm like, "Nah, look, check this out. Check this out." And they have nothing to say after that. Does anybody have anything else they would like to add or say or anything? Libby is feeling much better. Uh, Katrina, mostly Katrina, but Katrina and I were talking to her a little bit on the phone. I was only there for like the last like half hour because I was on the phone with Alan at the same time. But yeah, I believe Libby's doing okay. She's feeling better. Katrina, if you're not asleep, you can give some insight on that if you know.
Insight on what? It's just loud in here. I'm in the tent with the kids.
No worries. No, honestly, if Libby is feeling better.
Oh, yeah, Libby sounds like she's doing great. She was baptizing people today. She sounds like she's really good. I'm gonna maybe record our conversation that we had today. Did my phone just die?
I can still hear you.
Oh, sorry. It's like I said, it is
Love
loud.
the sound of the children's laughter. That's music to the ears. Praise Yah.
Oh, yeah.
I love you. Aw, we love you too, sweetheart.
I thought my phone just died. It's on 5%. I have to go in and charge it.
Well,
But yeah, what did you hear me say? Just wait, Quentin. You play with Sissy. No, it's mine. Okay. Yeah, so I plan on maybe recording what we talked about today. And then just maybe posting it in a group. Or I could just send over the sound clips just so everybody gets a chance to listen. I'm a little unsure still about the seasons and how she's kind of deriving that. But I'm really trying to understand. So I just have to go through the sound clips. What do you think? Does anybody have any thoughts about the seasons not ringing in when they, on the 91st day or whatever? Because I like what she said, that the equinox is just separate. It just seems as though, it should work, right?
Yeah, she makes a good point too. It's like only that one leader is always stationary versus the other one can be slightly off by like a day or two, which is what we see.
Which is
Hey
not
guys,
terrible.
I have something to say about that. It's
Yeah.
kind of associated. It's kind of associated, but not exactly the same thought. So a thought came to mind. So have you guys heard that the North Pole, the magnetic pole has been shifting?
Yeah, I've heard that.
Okay, so this is potentially important information. If according to the Book of Enoch that I read, towards the end, the seasons are supposed to shift, and when they shift, if I recall correctly, certain things are supposed to start sprouting out of season, and basically things seasonally are not going to be the same. So I think it's going to be important for us to start channeling in and focusing on, believe it or not, somehow keeping track every single day of the count of the, what is it, Gregorian calendar, and making sure that every day that we're living in is actually March 20th on the beginning of the year, so that we can keep track of the calendar should the seasons shift where the equinox can no longer be used.
Yeah, we are definitely tracking all of that here,
Do
and
you understand what I mean?
I don't think there's gonna not uh sorry, I don't think there's gonna be a time where we can't use the equinox because
I don't remember what version of Enoch it is, but I know it's, as far as I recall, it's in one of the versions of Enoch. You guys should look into that, because if that portion of Enoch was true, the seasons are supposed to change drastically.
well
What?
that it's actually Enoch chapter 80, but it's saying the moon is off course, the seasons will be slightly off course, and the harvest, all these things will be off, but the sun is going to stay the same. It's only going to burn hotter, is what it said. So
It
it says
says,
the sun. Yeah, it's Enoch chapter 80.
okay, well, I stand corrected then, but either way, um, maybe keeping an eye on the calendar should things change.
Yeah, definitely.
For sure,
And that's
yeah.
the magnetic north, not the true north.
Yeah, correct. And no, yeah, I've been thinking that same thing, and I've even brought it up to Marissa a few times. Like, I think we should consider what's going on there in Enoch chapter 80, because it says in the time of the sinners, these things are going to happen. So things will be slightly off like that. But the sun is always going to stay on its course. It's going to be that main tracker for everything. So yeah, it's for sure something we're looking into. Like I said, we're still trying to hash out some things here in Enoch that, it doesn't quite make sense, but I think it's just because things have been tampered with. So we're just trying to figure that out. We're not tossing out Enoch or any of that. Like, it's still 100% legit, valid. It's just some things here and there may have been tampered with in it. So that may take a while to actually figure out, but slowly and slowly we're finding things here and there. So you got a tent set up, Katrina? That's cool.
Yeah, we're having fun. Something to do. I took about a 5-minute nap about 3 times.
15 minutes in total.
Here, I'll send you a pic. The group. Yeah, it was fun. I'm gonna put up my new tent. It's much bigger. This one, the kids could just literally take out and fold open, and it just pops right up. The kids put it up. So easy, like those pop-up tents.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so easy. But yeah, praise yeah. Everybody's in good health. Quentin actually had a bit of an allergic reaction. He got hives. This week it was pretty intense. I was freaking out.
Yeah.
Ugh. But
Praise Yahuwah.
yeah.
Katrina, did you guys find out what the hives were from? Was it
I don't think there's any way to know. Honestly, I think he had it could be one of a few things.
I mean, it sounds like an allergic reaction to something.
It could be that, or it could be because he had like a sinus infection that went on for too long. Because I was trying those natural antibiotics, remember?
Yes.
And they weren't touching the infection. Like they were doing nothing. I mean, I had him on everything. I have everything, you name it, under the sun. I'm doing frequency therapy. I'm doing red light therapy. I'm draining out his sinuses using, antibacterial, antimicrobial, all that kind of stuff. Like nothing was touching it. I was doing hydrogen peroxide inhalation. Yeah, he just couldn't get better. So I think that his body just reacted in hives.
That makes sense. Wow.
Or it could be I bought Ninja Red, and I know he's allergic to blueberries and strawberries, but he did have, and I honestly, I wasn't going to give him to him. I gave the drink to Claudia, and then he drank it. So it could be from that too, the allergic reaction. Either or, it happened, and I had to deal with it. Calamine lotion though worked really good. Oatmeal baths I gave him.
Nice. Praise Yah.
Yeah. Oh, and I did. This was traumatizing. He hated it, but bentonite clay to draw, So yeah, I did a bentonite clay mask on him, and he didn't like that. But
oh, poor guy.
Katrina, I love that the tent you set up. I also have a wood burning stove for mine. I love it. It looks great.
Oh yeah.
That looks like so much fun. Getting ready and hyped up for Sukkot. Praise Yah.
Oh yeah, we got a big tent. It's like a 3-room tent for Sukkot, so we're ready.
It's perfect. It's nice. I love it.
That one's the little one, the one that I just sent a picture of. That's a really tiny one.
It didn't look tiny. Oh my.
No, that's a small pop-up. You could just fit a bed in there. That's it.
Oh, wait a minute. I'm looking at the one where you have your stove in there, your little wood burning stove.
That's Lee's.
That's Lee's.
That's
not
Lee's?
mine. Oh, I'm not that fancy.
Oh my. Oh, I love
my
it, Lee.
goodness.
That is nice. Yeah, that's nice. That's awesome.
Oh my good. There's one.
You could live in that.
I feel like Abraham.
Lee, I also have a wood burning stove for my tent.
How did you?
Hey, that one will 2 wood burning stoves.
Nice. Oh man, that's
Is that
nice.
a couch back there? A blow up couch?
Yeah, it's a blow up couch. It's a blow up couch.
Oh, that's awesome. I love it.
Yeah,
That's
it's comfortable.
massive.
Yeah.
I was gonna buy that same tent actually. I was looking into buying it. That's awesome.
Where did you get your
Yeah,
tent, Lee?
that was Cabela's.
Mm.
Oh, what is that? Alta. Oh, I can't remember. I think it's a 30 by 10 or 30 by 12, something like that.
Yeah, that's pretty big. Mine's a bell tent from oh gosh, what's the name of them again? I'm drawing a blank. But it's the canvas that's waterproof and fireproof.
Uh-huh.
It's about 17. It's not one of the biggest one, but it's close to the biggest one.
The
Yeah, it's
Kodiak,
17.
the Kodiak.
No, oh gosh, what was it called? But anyways, it's about 17 foot across, but it's round. It's a bell tent.
Oh, okay, yeah. One
Yeah.
thing I do like about that one, I'd rather have the round tents too, but one thing I do like about that, when the wind blows, it's got these little clips that it tightens up the ropes
Yes.
no matter which way it blows.
Yes. It's very
Yeah,
sturdy.
yeah.
It can
Oh, yeah.
withstand up to 80 plus winds.
Oh, yeah.
It got such good reviews. That's why I bought it. I bought it on sale, thank goodness, because it's not cheap to get those type of. Oh my goodness, it's not cheap, but it's
No.
worth it. Buying it for just in case you have to live in it. That's why I bought the
Oh, that's
wood-burning
why
stove.
Father told me to go buy him, so I'm
I
guessing
know.
I'm going to
Yep,
be
same here.
like Abraham for real.
Yep. And when I saw that wood burning stove in there, I'm like, yep, you could live in that if you had to. And that's yes, hallelujah.
Yes. I like it because you can walk around in it and not
White
hit
Duck.
your head.
The name of the tent company is White Duck. I'm assuming you guys have heard of White Duck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've got one of those Cody tents, and tell you what, it's real hot in the summer. They're real hot in the center summer, but they're real warm in the winter.
Yeah, they get pretty hot.
Yeah, they do.
I think all tents get pretty hot in the summer, honestly.
Well, that's why I'm
Yeah,
making
yeah.
sure I have all my extension cords and my fans to keep cool.
I like that big one. It's a big Sakote tent, and I can just invite people into my tent, and we can all eat and have discussions. I love it.
Hallelujah. Well,
I
yeah.
was gonna say the whole group can fit in your tent.
You bet. You
looks
bet.
like it. Lee, where are you at? What state
I'm in
are you
Oklahoma.
in?
I'm in
You're
Oklahoma.
not too far. You're not too far from us. Okay, good.
No, I'm southwest. I'm southwest Oklahoma.
Okay. Wonderful.
Yeah, we're planning our Seacoast meetup here.
Mm-hmm.
So we have a poll there in chat and everything. So
What now?
for our Seacoast meetup, we're getting it
Mhm.
planned
Oh,
out.
in Arizona?
No, here in
actually,
Missouri.
Oh, Missouri.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Central location for everybody. For most people, it's in their state, but it's pretty much the most central location across the state we could think of where we can all.
Is it out there in Ozark? Out there in Ozark?
Yeah, it's. Do you know exactly where it's at, Jennifer?
It's not. It's only a half an hour drive from Marissa's home, and she's in St. Joe, in the outskirts of St. Joe. And so it's about an hour and 50-minute drive from Columbia, Missouri, and I'm kind of central. So it's south. It's kind of south. I'd have to look at the map, but it's south of us.
Is that southwest or southeast?
I'm not sure. I'm going to have to look. Marissa could probably answer that question. In fact, hang on. Let me look. Hang on just a moment. All right. Hang on just a moment.
But yeah, we are planning a meetup for Sukkot, all of us here. And it's going to be where Jennifer is going to describe. But Marissa and all them, Jennifer, Miranda, and others are all in the planning group for it. So,
Okay,
so
I just sent the information on it. It's Gasconade Resort in the Ozarks. Hang on, let me look at the map. Can you guys hear me okay?
yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, hang on. Let me get my glasses. I'm blind without my glasses. All right. It is Richland, Missouri, which is, let me find the directions. Okay, Springfield, you're going south, Highway 13 to Springfield, and then toward Rolla. Yeah, here we go. Here's the map. Here's the map right here. Alrighty, here. Okay, I just sent a picture of the map. So you're going south. Did it load? Is it on there?
Yeah,
Okay.
we see it.
Okay. Yeah. Mark Twain National Forest.
Sister Germain's, they got
Go ahead.
a group. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Sister Germain is just saying how they started an Aussie group for those in Australia, New Zealand, so forth.
Praise
Yeah,
Yah.
that's cool. It'd be nice if we could make it there to Australia.
For sure. I don't have a passport. I think it's getting harder to get passports now. Is it still a requirement that supposedly you have to get the shot to get a passport? Oh, God.
No, I don't think it's a requirement.
Well, it used to be free.
Not here in the U.S., it's not a requirement.
Easy. They'll put a simple $20, $30 years ago.
I have heard they are gonna try to like restrict flights and things like that, but we'll see how that goes. But yeah, no, it'd be awesome to go to Australia.
It would. It's beautiful there.
Yeah. You guys had that whole lamb going there for Passover, so I mean, you guys definitely know how to throw a festival. Yeah, throw a lamb on the Barbie. But yeah, I think Sukkot is going to be really fun. It's going to be awesome to meet everybody in person. And I was thinking of trying to do like a live thing like we're doing right now when we meet up in person as well. So those who are unable to make it or are far away can also, be a part of it as well. I don't know, just some ideas, toss them out. We still got like 6 months, 5 months. Yeah, 5, 6 months. Yeah, closer to 5. Well, Jermaine's got her commercial kitchen. Yeah, I think Australia might be the place to go, huh? Yeah, if only. You already got a Qumran getting set up there, huh, sister? New Qumran, Australia. Oh yeah, yeah, that digital ID for flight tracking, all of the above. Yeah, I've heard about that. It's probably going to be like that thing with their, real ID. They're going to keep pushing back the date. But then we know the times and the seasons because we can tell by everything that's going on that, we don't have a lot of time left. So honestly, only time will tell. But while we still can, it would be great to fellowship. It'd be great to go to Australia sometime. 100%.
Is that Queensland or Victoria?
Uh, where are you exactly, sister? I know it's in like the tropical region. I know that.
Queensland. I had a grandmother that used to live in Queensland.
Yep, you got it. She said,
That's the tropical area.
yeah, interesting. Yeah, no, that'd be cool. The land of plenty. I'm getting surrounded by bird and quail right now because there's some bird seed out in the yard. But I don't know if you can hear the quails, but they even sound like a mini chicken with the way they call. Kind of interesting. We just have wild quail here in Arizona, so I just thought it something interesting. Getting surrounded by them right now. And lots of doves. They come to hear the word of Yahuwah. Yes. Yeah, yeah, those tents can be pretty pricey for sure. I, I saw the price on the one Brother Lee has there. That's kind of what inhibited me buying it right then and there.
Yeah, I didn't like paying for it either.
Yeah.
Buy one, cry one.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I already had 2 or 3 tents. I didn't buy it. I bought it for others if they come. And what I did is set all them in there, and I just kept my other tent. Kind of a community tent.
Yeah, right. You guys make desserts there, Sister Jermaine. That's pretty awesome. Do you guys sell them online? Do you have like a website, or is it just like a local type deal? Nice. So do you guys ship? Awesome. Share your website. Or for those who are in Australia, but yeah, ship some to the US. Yeah, I'm sure you'd have plenty of interested customers over here as well, sister, or all across the plane. Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah. I see. They got to be kept chilled. Yeah, that would be quite a expensive shipping charge, a refrigerated shipping container. That would be yeah, sell a cookbook with your recipes. There you go. The new Qumran cookbook. And pack with dry ice. Do you need my address? Yeah, awesome. Thanks for sharing. I'll share this in the links group actually, in case anybody is interested or they happen to be in your area. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, you are right. Yeah, that'd be a good idea. You know, there is lots of people, and you know, diet is one of the main things about keeping our temple, you know, healthy and keeping it free of unclean things. And you know, diet is an important part of that as well, because we see, you know, they literally poison everything from the air we breathe to the water that we drink to the ground that's growing plants. So they do their best to try to poison us, but you know, I think that's why it's important to also pray over your food as well. And you know, Yahuwah will protect you always, but it's important to have a healthy diet and not eat, you know, a bunch of man-made store-bought products that are just filled with, you know, man-made chemicals and fillers that they came up with in a lab just to bring down the cost of a certain product. Because really, that's what they did. You know, back in the days, everything used to be made with, you know, actual ingredients. Whereas over time, you know, they've synthesized synthesized that, add these red dyes and unnatural flavors from, you know, things like beaver butt. I'm sure you guys know about that. You know, artificial vanilla flavorings can be derived from beaver butt, literally. It's pretty disgusting. Some of the flavorings, such as HEK, especially those ones, they are made with, I don't want to get too deep into it, but cells that have been aborted from fetuses. I don't know any code word for that, but you get what I'm saying. They make flavorings and things out of these things. So all of that's totally bad for us. But really my point was lots of people are looking for good recipes to keep, a healthy diet that's, going to fit with Torah. And, me and Katrina were actually talking about it too, making a Torah restaurant or a Torah company to sell, clean foods, biblically clean foods that are, natural and healthy for you. Or open up a restaurant to serve like biblically clean foods and to be able to observe his true Sabbath day, things like that. I just know that Yahuwah will always provide a way for his people no matter what. So just some ideas, so. Yeah, the BB glands, beaver butt glands. Yeah, and it's like, who was the one that even came up with that? Like, oh, hey, I'm gonna, taste this beaver butt gland. Oh, hey, look, it tastes like vanilla. Like, no, it's really kind of sadistic to even have that kind of thinking to think of using that as a flavor. Yeah, some sicko. Yeah, exactly. A Bill Gates type. Yeah, unfortunately, sickos with crazy imaginations. That's what I'll call it. But yeah, we do see, keeping our temples clean is important. Even the frequencies and the sounds that are around us, they're causing a lot of damage and harm. All these 5G, let's say, and Wi-Fi signals. There are these man-made frequencies that are damaging and inhibiting the natural frequencies that Yahuwah has put into place. And we've gone over a lot of that with cymatics and sonoluminescence and the buildings and designs of the buildings of Tartaria, as we call them. We could see they had these frequencies that were designed to heal, like that were natural frequencies created by Yahuwah himself. They were meant to heal. And we see, things like sonoluminescence, where sound put through a medium of water or ether, it will literally create what we see as the stars, a star in a jar. And that's what I believe the luminaries are. Like, it's just these angels that are singing to Yahuwah. And because they are in the waters above, that's why we are seeing these stars. That's why they're able to fall, things like that. Really fascinating. And it just all goes with, Nikola Tesla saying, if you want to understand the universe, think in frequencies and vibrations, things like that. It's just, I don't know. I'm probably going pretty deep into things here, but just some thoughts. They even mimic these things, like their quote unquote Star of David. We see they get that, and then they, on their NASA CGI images, they're putting that same thing at their quote unquote North Pole of Saturn. There's a hexagram. You can fit the Star of David right in that hexagram. It all has to do with symbolism. It all has to do with what Satan has twisted. And that's what the esoteric work with is symbolism and frequencies, things of that nature. Like I always say, it's a giant spider web that connects to Satan right there at the center. Literally everything. Everything meaning all the deception connects right back to Satan at the center. Everything else, like that's truth. Everything else that is literally like provable, that all connects back to Yahuwah in the scriptures. But what Satan tries to do is twist everything up to hide that fact. And then they point out, oh, look, we came from goo to rocks to life. And then, fish evolved into whales that evolved into monkeys that evolved into men. And like none of it makes sense, none of it's provable. They do it all to hide Yahuwah, they do it all to hide his truth. They try to make the Bible seem like some kind of fairy tale. And the mainstream just eats it all up. And that's why, biblical cosmology has a lot to do with uncovering truth as well. Because when I discovered biblical cosmology, it was back before all the censorship, all the things like that. I discovered it when it was still a #1 search on Google itself. Like you look up searches back then, it was flat Earth was like the #1 search, and it would take you to actual truthers in biblical cosmology. That's actually how I found Rob Skiba, things like that.
What year was that, Jeremy?
It was early in my awakening, 2016, 2017.
Oh,
It was
praise
before I
God.
found the calendar. It was before all of that. I found Rob Skiba. It had to have been like early 2016, somewhere in 2016, where I found all this.
Did you ever read? Gosh, I can't even talk right now. Did you ever meet Rob Skiba?
I never met him in person, but I was there for all of his live streams from then on because I was like, wow. But I had respect for him because he would actually answer my questions and not like toss things out like everybody else. So he knew who I was because we'd always kind of go back and forth in his live stream chats.
Oh, that's beautiful. No, when I first came across Parable of the Vineyard, I kept hearing things about Rob Skiba and how he had passed away at the beginning of COVID. And I thought, oh, man, pretty sad.
Yeah,
A lot of people believe that he was murdered. He was a threat.
yeah. And his wife ended up coming up with a book that ended up being like, I think it was like #1 or #2 best-selling books in the medical field. His wife ended up producing that after his passing and everything.
Wow.
And then she somehow mysteriously passed away just recently as well. So I think something fishy was going on there for sure. I don't think, because Rob himself was even saying, you're going to have to kill me before you take me to a hospital. And next thing you know, his wife's taking him into the hospital and they're forcing all this stuff on him. So it's like,
Right.
But that may be something, we may not be able to figure out because, yeah, there's a lot of fishy stuff going on there for sure. But he was, pretty big in the community. Like everybody knows of him, even now. Everyone still knows of him. Even newcomers, they're like, yeah, I heard of him. But interesting enough, it was Rob Skiba's videos where Parable of the Vineyards videos came up recommended all that time ago. And that's how I found Adam, because his videos were popping up under Rob Skiba's. I was like, what's this? And that's back when him and Justin were still together and they were doing their thing. And I
So
think
have
Justin
you?
had.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, I think Justin had a lot of good stuff that he revealed about the Torah and things like that. But of
I
course, he went
agree.
astray.
Did
What
you
were you
ever
gonna
meet
say?
Justin in person?
No, I never met any of them in person.
Okay.
I talked to him on the phone, and Adam, like, we've all talked on the phone before, and really the only ones I've met in person was Peter Martinez and his ministry. I've met Alan Patrick in person. That's actually who I was talking on the phone with today. Met him in person at Peter Martinez.
Alan Pizarak.
Or,
You keep calling him
yeah,
Patrick, but I think it's
yeah,
Pizarak.
Pizarak. Yes, sorry. Yeah, I met him in person. I met Peter Martinez himself in person. He's definitely a wolf. Uh, Met quite a few brothers and sisters. I met Scott Burnell. He used to be on the Code Searcher guys uh, channel a lot as like a guest. I met him in person there. Um, who else? There's quite a few I've met in person, only because Peter Michael Martinez in his camp. But of course, he's a wolf. He's a snake. He ended up doing Alan dirty as well. He does everybody dirty. But again, that's a whole nother story. But when I was with him, or when I was in his ministry and his fellowship, that's when I found out he's connected to Adam behind the scenes. Adam's connected to Sean behind the scenes. Dr. P's connected behind the scenes. Paul Nissan's connected behind the scenes. All these guys are literally connected behind the scenes, meaning they have each other's phone numbers. They're texting and talking constantly, but they don't make it really known on their channels that they're doing this. So this is what I discovered when I was part of that ministry. Because back then, that's when I was already seeing, Adam was doing people dirty and his little sneaky things that he was doing. And lots of brothers and sisters came to me with testimonies at that time. But apparently, Adam had done another brother dirty because there was a deal going on with Dr. P for Adam and Parable of the Vineyard to do a, audio Bible of the Sefer, which is actually where all these, dramatic Sefer readings he's done recently, that's where it came from. It's because of that. But he had some kind of contract with Dr. P and the Sefer Publishing Company, and that he was getting paid to do this. And so he invited other brothers and sisters to come and, do the voices and the readings. And what happened was one of the brothers who was doing one of the readings, I think he was like Moses or Aaron, one of the two, he's doing his voice. He was supposed to get paid, and he never got paid. So like Adam basically had this contract going where he was saying, oh yeah, I'll pay you if you come and do the voices for us. And then he would never pay the people. So the reason I found out is because they were going to have Peter come in as a quote unquote elder and judge the situation and see who was right and who was wrong. And it was like this whole big thing that wasn't really made public, but it was known about in like the communities itself. Like I don't know what happened or whatever happened to that, what the outcome was, because shortly after that, Peter did me dirty and I left all that. So I'm not sure the outcome of that or if anything even happened, if he did preside over it or whatever. I just know But that's how I found out they were literally all connected behind the scenes, and they're just all working together. This is why they have their festivals and their, meetings, and they're always like, oh, special guest, Sean Griffin's going to be here. Oh, special guest, Dr. P, things like that. It's because they're all working behind the scenes, 100%. They all work together for the money. I know Boss Family on Yahuwah and the Torah, they do exposés on a lot of these guys in the community. And they show, with records and evidence, like, hey, look, these guys are taking money for all these things. Like Adam, he has his Hebrew Fest, and he's charging outrageous prices. Well, he pockets all that money. Like, none of it goes really to anything else but his own pocket. Like, he'll pay for these expenses here and there, but it mostly goes to his pocket or paying others to come. And all these guys come, they take the money. It's all for monetary gains. Then they push their theology. Everyone, Jewel gets over him like, oh, he's a big guy in the Torah community. I love him. Well, it's just like, stars in Hollywood. They got people drooling buckets over them, like bowing down at their feet. And most of these guys in the Torah community, like, they'll never be proven wrong, according to themselves anyway. I've had questions and qualms with every single one of them. And instead of just simply answering a question or saying, hey, you may have something, no, it's always, they ignore it, they change the subject, they'll start blocking you. And they'll say, oh, it's so we don't have confusion, or it's so, whatever. They'll come up with some reason to, block you and just ignore you, even though you're asking just a simple question. And I'm not the only one these things have happened to. There's plenty of others who the same thing has happened to with these big Torah people. You go to them and you ask them a question, like, hey, look at this scripture here. And it's, showing what you're saying is incorrect. They won't address it. They'll just block it. And I know because I used to be a moderator for Adam, and I was on his email list. And that's where they had their meetings of their moderators saying, oh, anything that goes against what Adam's teaching, get rid of it, block it. They were just like, aye, aye, Captain. So this is why, if you have something to say in Adam's chats or many other chats as well, not just Adam, but it's not going to be seen and it's going to be removed. They won't say a word about it. They'll just remove it. You won't even know. Really, point of the story, just be careful. Be careful. Follow no man. Yes, that is, I think, correct. I actually have there's a playlist on my channel of many brothers and sisters' testimonies about Adam Fink. There's many more who they're basically afraid to come forward because, they just get attacked. I know I was attacked for exposing him. And I didn't even really expose him. I just, warned about him. Like, hey, look, this, and this, I know for a fact has happened. And they just want to attack you. Like, oh, how dare you? He's such a nice guy. Well, Satan comes as a messenger of light. And really, it's just a warning. Like, be careful of these guys. They don't become big in the Torah community for no reason. Even Google is promoting Adam. Like, if you search a parable of the vineyard on Google, like, Adam's going to be in the top searches. So, like, they promote him and they push him. And when that's going on, something else is going on that's much deeper. Because the enemy does not promote truth. The enemy will not show you truth on searches. You have to dig really deep to actually find the truth and not use Google. And even the ones that aren't Google now, like DuckDuckGo and Brave, things like that, they've all been compromised as well because Google just buys them out. So they figure out which ones you're using, and they're like, oh, they're getting around our stuff. We'll just buy them out. We'll keep the same name. We'll just buy them out. We won't say anything. Also, you got the Nazarene version. Yeah, that one's Lou White's version. I'd be careful with that as well. Really, really, Lou White, his version, I don't know. There's some strange things in there. I think he made some changes that I wouldn't agree with. Um, Hallelujah scriptures. It's a, it's just like the ISR or Institute of Scriptural Research, the scriptures, and it's just like Yah's scriptures. Those are all the same. It's just who are you going to buy them from, really? Except Yah's scriptures has all the extra books in it, whereas the Hallelujah scriptures doesn't. And I would be careful with the Hallelujah scriptures because they are grifters as well. The scriptures is pretty good. There's just a group of Messianic believers in South Africa, and they came together to just take it back to the original language. So although it's not perfect because, we still see new moons and things like that in there, it's a decent copy. It's at least a restored name scripture. Just the Sefer as well. Like, there's many, many authors' changes in the Sefer, but it doesn't mean you can't find certain books or certain information in there as well. Like, I have a Sefer from many years ago. I have a bunch of the extra books that comes or that you can get with the Sefer that contain all these extra biblical books and things like that. So I actually have quite a few of these writings and scrolls and books in physical form. And then, of course, the Dead Sea Scrolls as well. I shared a few links on those. There's quite a few different authors on different translations of the Dead Sea Scrolls. Honestly, I'd recommend getting them all. Get the complete Dead Sea Scrolls. Get Dead Sea Scrolls, a new translation. Get the Dead Sea Scrolls by, what is it? Garcia Martinez. Florentino Garcia Martinez. Actually, that one's probably one of the best ones because he doesn't add like the Wednesdays or the Saturdays, things like that. And he makes the brackets like very clear where things have been taken from other scrolls and put in another scroll to make it make sense, basically. So I think he did a really good job. Yeah, the Giza Vermes one, it's a good one, but like I said, be careful because he makes many of those authors' insertions. His Echo Weiss's book are the ones where you're going to find these inserted moon phases in the priestly cycle. Whereas Florentino Garcia Martinez, he's not going to have any of those author insertions. He just uses the original text. So we're going to see dukkha instead of, this sliver of the moon. No, because it doesn't say this sliver of the moon. It says dukkha. And we're finding out what a dukkha is actually when the sun is rising and setting opposite of the sun in that same gate. Because moon phases, the ones they have inserted in there, they just do not line up. And that's what Marissa has proven. And that's what we've gone to Gospel Worth Dying For in their calendar. That's Gina Sparks in her calendar. We've gone to them to say, hey, look, these things aren't lining up. Why are you guys saying that they do? Why are you pushing that they do? And why are you changing your dates to line up with moon phases when in Jubilees chapter 6, we're told we're not supposed to be doing these things. We're not supposed to be sighting moons. So why are you doing that? And they're just, well, the priestly cycles, well, those moon phases are inserted. Why would you think the sons of Zayt are sighting slivers of moons when they have the book of Jubilees saying don't sight slivers of moons? They're not sighting slivers of moons. They're sighting when the moon is rising and setting in correlation with the sun. That's what they're looking at. But yeah, they will refuse to answer any of our questions. They refuse to address it. I'm just trying to get us all to come together so we can reason together through scriptures, And we all have different pieces of that puzzle that we need. And same with Erin Ryan, I've tried to go to her nice, and I even told her, I think Sumi was there for it, and I was like, hey, look, instead of, fighting and arguing and, arguing whether or not, Enoch had a Rolex watch or not, let's get to the more important, deeper things so we can get to a deeper understanding. But no, every time we try to talk with her, it's all about, oh, Enoch didn't have a Rolex. Oh, we live on a spinning ball. How dare you? And it's always going to those points. And it's like, look, when we move past these, we're going to agree to disagree about that. So let's move past that and get to the deeper matter. Like, not stuck on the surface level stuff that we're going to clearly disagree about. But she wouldn't even listen to that. She wouldn't listen to reasoning. She just kept going on and on with, Enoch didn't have a Rolex. Well, yeah, no kidding. But we see Enoch was tracking time by 9 parts day and 9 parts night, 18 parts in a day. 18 parts of an Enoch day is going to equal 24 hours of our modern time. That's that. He's tracking time. Did he have a Rolex? Of course not. That's even foolish to say. But yeah, and we just try to go to them and reason together, and they're just like, nope, nope, nope. It's gatekeepers is what it is. They want to be the only ones that have this knowledge. They're unwilling to study together. They have these bad attitudes usually that are full of pride and like, this is my information. This is my stuff that I found. This is my calendar, things like that. Well, none of this is any of ours. This is all from Yahuwah, and none of us would know anything without Yahuwah. So that's why I don't claim anything. I never say this is my calendar. I don't say this is my information. This is Yahuwah's calendar, and it's the information He has shown all of us who have come together. And then we share this information that we've learned to try to help others understand as well. And it's not something that, you should put a price tag on, or, hey, pay $80 for this USB drive of my study notes. Like, that's just nonsense and ridiculous. Because, we received all of this freely, so we're supposed to give it freely. And when scriptures is talking about being paid for your work, it's talking about your secular work being paid for it. The kingdom work is all free. We're supposed to be given it free. Like, you don't see Messiah saying, all right, that's going to be 2 shekels after healing the blind man. You don't see it. You don't see a line of people coming up to Messiah and he's charging them a coin each to give them his study notes. And that's the problem with these big communities is they're charging people for their study notes. And no joke, $80 for a USB stick of Sean from Kingdom of Context study notes. $80. I feel bad for the ones foolish enough to pay for that. Like, it's all things each and every one of us can study for ourselves and find out. We don't have to pay somebody else $80 to go and see what they found. It's outrageous and it's ridiculous and it's really upsetting. And it's sad that so many people fall for that grift. And they're just like, oh, he's such a nice guy. He's such a nice guy. Well, that's the common theme with all of them. They're such nice guys. And that's going to be the exact deception right there. They're just so nice that they can never lie. That's incorrect. That's what they want to perceive, or want you to perceive. It's really unfortunate. Yeah, directors from Hallelujah Scriptures are definitely not good people. They're dishonest and so much more. I've met them and wish I hadn't, except it was good as it was a time where Yah was giving me a quick lesson in discernment of spirits. Yeah. Yeah, so you've met them personally then. Yeah, and that's what I've heard from everybody who has met them personally and people who have worked for them, things like that. There's no good report about them, basically, for anybody who knows them personally. Yeah, I don't mean to turn this into like an expose or anything. Just a warning, be careful, really. Because, we are supposed to warn people of like wolves in sheep's clothing, things like that. That's not to accuse them or condemn them, but it's to pray for them and hope that they repent and turn from their ways before it's too late. Like they can all right now turn around, repent from all the deception and whatever else they do and follow Yahuwah. The problem is they choose not to do that. Yeah, no worries, sister. Yeah, not a fan of the Sefer. Sorry, I missed all these comments. Why do you think Adam is off the Zadok calendar? So that's a very good question, Sister Claire. When he's actually what got me looking into the Book of Jubilees, because like I said, way back then, when he was still with Justin, they were reading Jubilees, they were looking through it, and I was like, wow, this is fascinating. So it caused me to read Jubilees. And I think, like, I don't remember exactly when it was, but, he was doing his thing about the calendars, and that's when I started promoting the Sons of Zadok and the Zadok calendar. He was like, oh, I just don't see where, the moon's tossed out. And I was like, no, 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 no. The moon's not being tossed out. And I was just trying to reason with him, and he was just like ignoring everything I said. And that was already after, it was rocky and fallen. But, I don't know why he refuses to see it. He will just, discredit it. Just like he tries to discredit the Book of Jubilees. And then he says things like, oh, we shouldn't be going to these extra biblical books. We just stick to the 66 books. It's like, okay, well, when I first started listening, he was promoting going to the extra biblical book. And then literally after he says that statement, he's like, well, let's go to Maccabees. And it's like, oh, so we can use extra biblical books when it's going to fit your perspective. But when it doesn't, we're just going to toss those ones out and say, oh, stick to the 66 only. It's just like strange. And then no one really catches these things. Like, these guys still have a whole lot of followers that support them. You
Shabbat
know,
shalom, guys.
hey, Shabbat Shalom, Miranda. Glad you could finally make it. We missed you, sister.
I've been itching to get on all day.
How was your day?
Oh, well, we are going through a tornado watch right now, but it's been a good day.
Yikes. I would definitely be praying. Yeah, I think Miranda or Marissa was saying that too.
Yes, yeah, she's a little more south than we are, so if she probably got hit before we did. I think she just jumped on. Marissa, how are you guys doing?
We're just watching the rain. It's pouring here.
No tornado to Oz yet?
No, it's like a tornado watch, but we don't get worried unless there's like a tornado warning.
Yeah, we had some moving clouds here in Colombia, and it got pretty windy, pretty dark. We camped out in our closet for a little bit, but I think it's going more north of us now. So pretty sure we're in the clear. We've still got some heavy rain and lots of wind.
Definitely praying
Yeah,
for you.
it's like heavy rain and just a very little bit of lightning. But it's nothing too crazy right now. It looks scarier than it is.
Yes.
Well, you all will be in my prayers for sure. With the
Yeah,
storm
definitely
happening.
praying. May the Father's protection. I was wondering if you wanted to maybe present anything, Marissa, Miranda.
I don't know if it's anything to really present. I know I've kind of been poring over um Enoch and the uh the apocalypse of weeks. Um, I don't know if this is were you I kind of interrupted you, Jeremy, when I came in to say hello to everybody, so I don't want to.
No, it's okay. I was
Um,
just exposing some wolves, but yeah, go ahead.
ooh, exposing some wolves, yes. Um, so Jeremy, what version of Enoch do you have? Do you have the R.H. Charles version as well?
I have the R.H. Charles, I have the Dead Sea Scrolls version, and I have the Yacht Scriptures version as well.
Okay. Um, so if anything, this is just to ask everybody's opinion on, uh, when we were in Christianity, right? We've always kind of been taught that um, Earth is like what, about 7,000 years old, and like we've always thought, everything's complete in 7,000, and 7,000 just means rest. Technically, six, everything was complete, and then he rested. But I was thinking the other day, and in terms of a day And in terms of a year, that 12 actually kind of indicates a completion of time. Does that make sense? Like I'm trying to like articulate the way I'm thinking it.
Makes sense to me.
Okay, so Katrina and I were talking earlier this week too, and I know she was asking me because I told her I was going to be compiling stuff from Enoch, Esdras, just trying to get a good timeline on scripture, try to put it in order, and kind of, I truly believe that Yah gives every person. Sorry, my son. He wants us to know the times, and so, and I don't know if yours says this, but so I have the Enoch from the God culture. And I know that people, when they're doing their own translation on things, even though it is from R.H. Charles, I'm wondering if the God culture inputted his own opinion, because I noticed an inconsistency that I'm wondering if he did on purpose because he thought maybe it was out of order. So to get you to understand where I'm coming from is, okay, so which one? So chapter 92 in Enoch, it's he's talking about, wait, is that the correct one? Sorry, oh, okay. He's talking about the apocalypse of weeks. Sorry, chapter 93 talks about the apocalypse of weeks. And the God culture makes like a note at the bottom and says Enoch's 7 weeks, not 10. But yet, the page literally before chapter 92, after verse 11 in chapter 91, it's like there's like a section where it's bracketed. So like it's either not finished in its translation or it's added. I'm not exactly sure. But then it goes into the 8th week, 9th week, 10th week, 10th week. And it's talking about like the last weeks, right, of the world. And then in chapter 92, he's talking about the first weeks. I was born in the 7th week in the first week. And then it talks about in the 2nd week of the world, and we know that it's not like a literal week. It's more of like like 1,000 years, maybe depiction. But it says, arose a great wickedness, and that was right before the flood. Okay, and then it goes into the 3rd week. A man was to be selected as the plant of righteousness. That was Abraham. And then it goes in the 4th week, at its close, visions of the holy and righteous shall be seen. A law was given for all the generations. So that was then Moses. And then it goes into the 5th week. The house of glory and dominion shall be built forever. And after that, in the 6th week, all who live in it shall be blinded. And the hearts of them shall be godless, forsake wisdom. And in it, a man shall ascend. Well, we know that's Yahusha. And then it says, obviously he was chosen. The house of dominion shall be burned with fire, and the whole race of the children of the chosen root shall be dispersed. Okay, so then that's when the dispersing happened. And after that, in the 7th week, an apostate generation arises. And again, kind of the end of these weeks are in the day before, because then he writes a note and says, this is Enoch's 7 weeks, not 10, but yet it's describing 11 weeks, because then when you flip a page before all of that, it goes, and after that there shall be another, an 8th week, that of righteousness, and a sword shall be given to it, in that righteous judgment may be executed on the oppressors. That sounds like the millennial reign. You know, he came with a sword. That's
Wow.
described in the 8th week. And yet he's saying the God culture, right, who composed this book, is saying that this has nothing to do with Enoch's 7 weeks. It's 7, not 10. And yet you see it right here. It doesn't make any sense that it's bracketed off and then all of these are before. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, interesting.
But okay, so let me finish reading. Okay, and after that there shall be another, an 8th week, that of righteousness, and a sword shall be given to it, that a righteous judgment may be executed on the oppressors, and sinners shall be delivered into the hands of the righteous. And at its close they shall acquire houses through their righteousness, and a house shall be built for the great king in glory forevermore. And after that, in the 9th week, the righteous judgment shall be revealed to the whole world, and all the works of the godless shall vanish from the earth, and the world shall be written down for destruction, and all mankind shall look upon the path of righteousness. And after that, in the 10th week, in the 7th part, there shall be a great eternal judgment, in which he will execute vengeance among the angels. So again, if it almost sounds like we're maybe in the middle of this 8th/9th prophetic week. I don't know. I thought it was weird that he put that it wasn't a part of the apocalypse of weeks, and yet it very much looks like he purposely put it in front of it to confuse you, but again, it doesn't match up. So I don't, what does yours say, Jeremy? On starting chapter, I don't know how yours is broken up.
What chapter is it?
So this is chapter. He has these numbered weird. When Enoch's admission to his children. So basically, like his testament to his children on what's going to befall them after he gets, taken up, right, by the angels to get put in the garden. He writes down like all of basically like a foreshadowing of what's going to happen to each generation to the very last generation. He kind of gives them like a summary, but he breaks it up into weeks, which I would presume that week would maybe equal to about 1,000 years each. I don't know. It's hard for me to understand, the whole term of jubilees and weeks of years, and I'm still trying to grasp all that.
Yeah. But there's gonna be like a week of days, which is 7 days, and then weeks of years, which is 7 years.
Okay, so I think this is way more than just a week of years, because when he's going into it, he says, I was born 7th in the 1st week. So again, we know Enoch was he lived to what, yeah, like here in this time domain, to 365 years, right?
Yeah.
And he
So
was born 7th.
I think it's gonna be depending on what jubilee, but it would be the first week of whatever jubilee he would be describing.
Okay. But still, I think that's more than just 7 years, right? Because Adam and Eve didn't even start having kids until they were technically, oh my gosh, I think I broke it down, and they were like, They were close to like 200 or something like that, I think.
Hey, Jeremy,
Yeah.
did you know there's
Yeah.
3 books of Jubilees?
3 books of
There,
Jubilees?
yes, there is. There's 3 of them.
Uh,
The latest 2 say that the Passover's on the 15th, but the first one says the 14th. The earliest one.
Yeah, we were going over that in our
Yeah.
group. Adrian brought that up. And
Yeah.
it seems to be like a mistranslation because it says in a few like lines down that it's on the 14th. And then also, if you look up the Hebrew, it says it's on the 14th.
Yep.
So it seems to be just a mistranslation.
The last 2 seem mistranslation, but the first one was correct.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, and we have all witnesses and scriptures. That's his book as well. That's just Passover.
Jeremy, I can't hear you for some reason.
Yeah, I can barely hear you too.
Maybe
Lee,
it's
what do you think of... Oh, there you go. Lee, I'm just curious. What do you think about like the other books of Enoch?
What do you mean?
Like the second book, third book. I know that there's a lot in there that's really fishy, but I almost feel like we should. Yeah. I know Aaron Ryan. Yeah, Aaron Ryan uses it to establish the 365th day. And
No, I don't mess with the other 2.
Okay.
Nope.
Okay.
No,
yeah,
that don't seem right.
I have a guy that I'm talking to right now saying that he doesn't use the equinox to begin his years. He doesn't see the straight line shadow at all. And he's saying that he goes by the equilux and he starts the first Wednesday after that. I think he said. And I mean, Qumran had sundials. I mean, is that they track both the equilux and the equinox, right? He said he doesn't see anything in scripture for us to. Go ahead.
Yeah, I don't know too much about the equinox, but I like that ladder.
I think you're breaking up a little bit. Maybe it's
so I'm.
Maybe it's
I said I'm not and have a lot on the equilux, but I have tracked the equinox since 2011. Kind of understand.
Yeah.
There's a pattern there, so yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Katrina, you're talking about James, and he's
Jason Robb.
Oh, okay. I would say James, a brother of ours, visiting this weekend, and he starts his day on the equilux. He said he doesn't understand how the equinox is not the equal day and equal night when that's the equilux. And I was like, well, yeah, I agree with that too. But he was like, but equinox, there is no where are you getting your straight line shadow? And so it was a little hard for me to try to explain it to him, but he was basically saying the same thing that you were saying that another person was saying.
Yeah, like this guy is saying that all the verses that say straight line, it doesn't matter.
Well, does he believe like the equilux or the first of the creation that Messiah came forth?
What do you mean?
Well, Messiah. Let there.
Oh.
I believe that's Messiah. Does he believe that, okay, straight is the way, narrow is the way that leads to life, and that's the way of Messiah? Is he going by day one of when he said, "Let there be light," as in following Messiah, the straight line or straight way? Is that what it is? I don't know what he believes.
I don't know.
Huh.
I don't know.
Huh.
Anyway, Miranda,
Yeah.
yeah, if you want to keep going there. I don't know if you
Um,
were done.
I mean, I wasn't. I mean, I wasn't like not done. I just didn't know if anybody else had seen it because, like I said, I have the God Culture's Enoch, and I don't know how anybody else's is presented. It was just odd to me that he would section off the 8th, 9th, and 10th. And what I thought was interesting is, it doesn't exactly get to 12. And again, if you're thinking on like time, if we're thinking of like 12, then it's cut off. It says, and after this, in the 10th week, in the 7th part, there shall be great eternal judgment. So like he literally cuts time like off in the 7th part of the 10th week. Like, if he didn't cut time short, then no flesh would be saved, kind of thing. And then after that, it's, eternal judgment. And that's when he starts executing vengeance among the angels. And then it says, after that, there will be many weeks without number forever and ever. So it's interesting that, again, it's not saying that there are 7 complete 1,000 weeks. I'm just saying, like, it just makes me wonder if, we've had 7,000, literal years in what we think is like Yah's timekeeping. I wonder if maybe, maybe possibly that got kind of taught for so long to kind of always just have that in our mindset. But I don't know if it's actual like 7,000 years, because I feel like, I don't know, I feel like we're way beyond that, because again, in Second Esdras, when he was talking and lamenting in the field, he admitted that he was in year 5,000 from creation. And that was about 500 years before Messiah, and Yah was telling him, he's like, it's nowhere close to the time, you know? I don't know. I just think it's odd that the God culture put these in 2 separate areas when it literally says Enoch's apocalypse of weeks, and it has 10, almost like a half or a quarter or something recorded. But he's saying it's 7 and not 10 when there's 10 that are recorded. He just put them in different spots. And I just didn't know if anyone had that like that in their Enoch.
What chapter was it again? I could look it up and see.
So it's weird because the Apocalypse of Weeks begins on chapter 93. But before that is kind of like chapter 91. But it says point 12 through 17. And he's calling it the last 3 weeks of tribulation when he's talking about the 8th week, 9th week, and the 10th week, and saying that it has nothing to do with Enoch's apocalypse of weeks. But yet, why name it the 8th week, 9th week, and part of, a 10th week? Does that seem odd?
Sure. I wonder if he's talking about weeks of years or weeks of thousands. Interesting. I'll look right now. I'm looking it up. You said
Okay.
92.
Do y'all believe y'all counts in Jubilees?
What?
Do you believe y'all counts in in Jews
Well,
in
absolutely.
49?
Yes, but I don't.
Okay.
I think these apocalypse of weeks again. These are more like I don't like. Hey, I need you to. I'm trying to articulate my thoughts, and you please out real quick, okay? Um, I think these are more in like ages instead of jubilees. Like I think these are like because it when he talks about it being like the apocalypse of weeks, this is like the
Ages as in
like
1,000 years?
I think so. Because again,
Yeah.
like how everything is like sected, it's way more than like 100 years or so. But yet I don't know if it's exactly at 1,000 years, but again, like how it's being broken up makes it seem like it's like really close to about 1,000 years each. Because when Noah built the ark, I don't have my Jubilees book with me, but I'm pretty sure they were a little past 1,000 years, right? Of since creation. Because I think I broke down the Jubilees, and I don't have my notes anywhere. I don't know where they are. But I think I broke down the Jubilees, and from creation to like the flood was like a little over 1,000 years since creation.
Yeah, try 1,008.
1,008?
Yep.
Yeah, okay.
Try that, see how it works out.
Okay. But yeah, so when you're looking at the apocalypse of weeks, he says, I was born the 7th. I was born the 7th of the first week. And it says, and after me there shall rise in the 2nd week great wickedness. You see, there's that there's that 1,000 years, right? And then in it there should be the first end. So the first end happened after 1,000 years since creation. It says in the 3rd week, at its close, at the close of the 3rd week, a man shall be elected as the plan of righteous judgment, and that was Abraham. So from Abraham to the flood, again, you have another almost 1,000 years. And then after that, in the 4th week, at its close, visions of the holy and righteous shall be seen, and a law for all generations, and enclosures shall be made for them. So that was the tabernacle in the wilderness. So again, another 1,000 years. And then in the 5th week, a house of glory and dominion shall be built. And then after that, in the 6th week, all who live in it shall be blinded. And in it, a man shall ascend. So in the 6th week, again, there's another 1,000 years. So yeah, I think these are talking about 1,000 years each.
Interesting. I was just reading.
Why would they put weeks there? Why would they put weeks there? You think that's been changed? Instead of putting Shanae there as years?
I don't know, but it says the apocalypse of weeks. So again, like we're thinking in Yah's time, kind of. So yeah, I don't know how to describe this. I saw it and I was like, why would that be before that? So.
No, I see 7 weeks there. And then what was the other chapter said? It went on to continue, you said?
Okay, so again, this is the God culture. So it says the apocalypse of weeks. And he has like a note here in the corner, and it says Enoch's 7 weeks, not 10. And yet a page before the, his heading of Apocalypse of Weeks, in chapter 91.12 through 17, which above it is bracketed, it talks about, and after there shall be another, the 8th week. Like, even though like the verse 11 doesn't really make any sense for then 12 to be, and then after that there should be another, the 8th week, when it's not talking about weeks before that. So like this section, when it's talking about the 8th week, 9th week, and 10th part of the 10th week, it doesn't make sense for it to be here. And then it goes into Enoch's Apocalypse of Weeks that only has 7 prophetic apocalypse weeks. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like,
So
that's
yeah,
how.
So what I'm seeing, so in 91, it's actually 11, verse 11.
That's
It
bracketed?
says, no, there's no brackets. It says, and after that, the roots of the unrighteous shall be cut off, and the sinners shall be destroyed by the sword, and the blasphemers destroyed in every place. And those who plan violence and those who commit blasphemy shall perish by the sword. And now I tell you, my sons, and show you the path of righteousness and the path of violence. Therefore I show you again, that you may know what will come to pass. But I don't see weeks in this translation there. Like, it doesn't say weeks. But it's saying weeks in God Culture's version.
So after that verse that you just read in verse 11, that's literally what I have, word for word. But then below it, he has a bracket that says the last 3 weeks of the tribulation. And it goes into...
That's just commentary.
No, I know.